I know you want to say something on this.
So, do you guys understand the point that you cannot have an infinite amount of? You can structure it either way. You can have an infinite amount of steps in evolution chain. You cannot have an infinite amount of time, right? Because an infinite amount of time would imply that we must have traversed an infinite, endless amount of time to get to the year 2026. But there lies a contradiction, right? Because you cannot get to an end of an endless amount of time.
What's
So,
the
I get
either
your
way you want to
point.
structure it,
well,
you can have an
gonna
infinite
be.
past or
I
eternal
think
universe. Same thing.
I think you're actually committing an error because there is an end to this, like the traversal of like this like infinite amount of like moments, and that end would actually be today.
Yeah, but there was a start. That's the point.
What? Why does there need to be a start?
Well, because if there wasn't a start, you would have an infinite amount of things, right? Because we exist, right?
Huh? This?
We exist,
Okay. Yep.
which means there
Yep.
must
Yep.
be, if
Yep.
there is no start, there's either a start or no start, okay? We can say this logically. There's start or no start.
Yep. Yep.
If
Yep.
there's
Yep.
no start, that means it must have existed eternally, correct?
By eternally, you just mean like for every moment
Yes.
there's like an antecedent
No,
moment.
no, 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 no. For eternally means forever. Like how many years have existed in the past? You say
Yeah,
infinite.
I think we're saying the same thing semantically. For every moment, there will exist a prior moment.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. So
Yeah.
that would be if, but that's also saying there's no beginning, right? Because if every moment there's a prior moment, there's no
Right.
beginning, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Correct. Great. So we're on the same page. So if you're saying the universe existed eternally, like you said, every moment has a prior moment, right?
Yep.
Then we must have traversed an infinite amount of time to get to today. But infinite
Yep.
means endless. You cannot get to the end of an endless amount of time. There's a contradiction.
No, that's not true.
That's very true. That's how time works.
No, hold on. Infinite doesn't mean endless.
Yes, it does.
Infinite just no, it does not. Infinite just means that if we were to put this in a set, you could put it to a one-to-one correspondence with the natural numbers.
That's one kind of infinite, sure.
Yeah, we're talking about like a set theoretic notion of infinite, right?
No, you
'Cause
have to be careful because,
if you're just saying like infinite is just like endless, then
yeah.
you just saying that like the infinite regress is like endless, then you would actually be wrong because it does have an end. It's just not beginning.
Okay, well, okay, infinite means either endless or without a beginning. It goes indefinitely in one direction. Can we agree on that?
It does go indefinitely in the beginningless direction. Yes, that's right.
So backwards. It goes indefinitely backwards. Is that what you're suggesting?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, the problem is the way time works is whatever time you went backwards, whatever time has already existed, it must always go forwards, right? So we can go, for example, I'm 26 years old, right? I was born 2000, right? We can go forward 26 years. We can go backward 26 years, no problem. But if you say we're going to go back infinite amount of years, we must also go forward infinite amount of years, right? That's the problem. You can't go
Yeah,
forward
but
infinite years.
it's not an issue when there's like an endpoint though.
No,
Because
Keep
like
saying that. Keep saying that. Can you justify that?
I don't
I
need
just
to
did.
justify it. Like it's just what the terms mean. I don't know what you're asking for. Like
Well, he's
impure-
telling you causation. He's practically telling you every moment we witness causation. A moment prior, for us to get to whatever
I don't-
point we are, we
not
would
sure if
have
you're-
to. All previous causes have to be actualized. That's what he's
I'm
saying.
not sure if
So
Yeah.
if all
You might not be tracking the convo. Hold on,
I
let
am
me just.
tracking.
Well, let me just talk. Oh, thank you. That's
Whoa,
much
what happened? Why'd you
appreciated.
drop that? Dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was derailing a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, did
Yeah.
you get the point, Rockstar? Do you have any questions? Are we on the same page, or?
No, I'm not understanding the point because, like, I can understand the contradiction that's entailed by reaching an end of an endless series.
Yeah.
But you have to demonstrate that there's a contradiction reaching the end of a beginningless series. It's not quite clear that there is like a logical contradiction in that.
Well,
in
because
those-
it's the same, right? That's how time works. Because, like I said,
No,
whatever
no.
time you went backwards, you said already existed. It must also go forwards.
Just because the two sets have infinite number of members doesn't mean that they're the same kind of sets. Right, you
What do
can
you
have
What do you mean by that?
So
Set
you
of
can have
years?
one. No, so the set. So like the So if we're wait, what was that giggle? So no, you're good. You're good. If you're looking at the set of all like past events, right? It's not going to be the same as the set of all like future events, right? Because like if I asked you, hey, will we reach the final member of all like future events or something, right? Like you're gonna be like,
we don't know.
Sorry.
We don't know if we're gonna get to the end of all future
No,
events. I mean, time is potentially going on forever,
well,
but we don't know.
presumably, if it's endless, right, then like you wouldn't reach the end, right?
No, but the problem is that in every future moment,
Wait, hold
right?
on. Just
you can say there's
wait,
an
one
end,
second.
right?
Wait,
and then it keeps adding on.
Hold on, I'm a little. Yeah, so I'm saying that like presumably for all future events, let's say like we're looking at a timeline, right?
Sure.
And we're looking at all the possible future events that are going to transpire. And we're operating under the impression that like time isn't just going to like abruptly stop at some point, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Are you going to reach the end of that series?
No. Well, yeah, you are going to reach the end of the present. The present moment.
talking-
Yeah. But
Wait, no.
the future
Wait,
hasn't happened yet, so you cannot say that these exist. These are not part of the set, right?
Wait, what? Hold on. Give me
Wait,
a
wait,
second.
hold on. You
I
said
don't
the
think you
future
wanna-
events, right? The set
Wait,
of
can
all
you-
future events, but they haven't
Yes,
happened yet.
That's tangential to the point I'm trying to make.
Well, I'm not sure. I got your point. So you said we map all the set of events that in the past,
Yeah,
and
let's say we map all the future events one-to-one correspondence with the natural numbers, right?
Well, what are those future? They haven't happened yet, so you cannot. You have to be careful because you cannot map abstract things of set theory to actual events.
That's tangential to the point, right? Like I already
Well,
said,
you have to be careful
hey,
because
there's
maybe
nothing
it's
to be
not clear
careful
analysis.
because there's nothing to be careful of because I already made stipulations prior to the hypothetical.
Well, it's a hypothetical again, so it's not. You have to be careful because we can always map events that happened in the past, right? But you cannot just say, "Oh, we're going to map an infinite amount of future events because they haven't happened yet," right? And also, time is a potential infinity, right? What happens in 10 years hasn't happened yet. We don't know what's going to happen in 10 years. We don't know what's going to happen in 10 billion years, right? But that's not the point I'm making. But maybe I missed it. Go ahead.
The point that you were trying to make is that like despite the fact that you're not going to the end of like an endless series, because it sounds like you're saying because the cardinality is going to be Aleph null, like first you can't like cross the entire like an infinite regress is impossible because its cardinality is Aleph null or something like that.
Yes, that's correct. And you have to be careful. I see you're talking about set theory here, and you have to be careful because set theory is an abstract field, right? For example, you have an infinite amount of natural numbers, right? That's Aleph null, right? Right, but the problem is that numbers are abstract. They don't actually exist. They're just used as a tool in mathematics for communication, right? They're not concrete. There's a difference between set theory and time, right? Time is concrete events that actually happened. You cannot have an infinite amount of concrete things.
No, that's a time. Man, you're just saying a lot of false things. I don't even know.
What did I say that's false?
You just merely saying time is like was it a concrete thing of all like events or something that have
So what
happened?
I mean by concrete is
like,
not
no,
abstract.
that's like what the fuck? Like so like
I mean concrete is anything not abstract.
So future events aren't temporal? Like that's fucking crazy, dog.
I didn't say anything
I
about
think you
temporal.
should kind of just get to like the point of it because it's kind of spinning in a circle. You know what I mean?
Future events have nothing to do with this. Future events, what happens in the future has nothing to do with this.
If you strict the notion to time as just like past events, then like if I talk about like future events, then that notion is just going to be unintelligible.
Why?
Because
this has nothing to do with future events.
Oh, where's that go to like God?
I don't understand what you're saying. This has
following
nothing
along.
to do with future events, right?
I'm trying to get to the point of like your point of existence of God.
Well, yeah,
that's what I was trying to like follow you, and I got a little lost myself.
Sure. So I mean, right now I'm just proving that the universe cannot exist by the physical laws of the universe itself. Right now we're talking about infinite regress.
Yeah, but what's
the
thing is what's the contradiction that's entailed by the universe existing on the basis of just like the natural laws or something?
Well, that's what I was saying. That's exactly the whole point I was making.
What's the P and not P? Do you know what I mean by that?
P is that the universe has existed eternally, and the not P is that it hasn't existed eternally.
Okay, so one thing, like, I don't even have to go down this like eternal route because like what's entailed by the universe existing just on the basis of the natural law isn't just that like the universe is like eternally old. It could just be the case that the universe like instantiated at some point, right?
Yeah, it must have. That's my point.
Hold on, but like that doesn't. sorry, that doesn't entail that like the universe can't come about from natural laws, though. You do realize that,
Wait,
right?
say it again. It cannot come by natural laws.
It's
Yeah,
like it doesn't. If you say that the universe can't be, if the universe isn't eternal and simultaneously is eternal for some reason, it's not entailed from like the natural laws that contradiction is like going to like happen. Like those two things are like disjoint. I don't know why you're like bringing up like natural laws and like eternality.
Well, yeah, because that's my point. My point is that with eternality, I mean, with natural laws, you cannot have eternality. That's my point.
Is the point that the universe is infinite? Is your point that the universe is infinite, or
No, my point is that it cannot be
I'm like
infinite.
kind of lost.
No, I mean,
It
it's
can't.
very, look, I
Okay.
can just say it in one sentence here, or maybe two sentences. The universe cannot be eternal because that would imply an infinite past. An infinite
there's-
past must mean that we must traverse an infinite amount of time, and we cannot traverse an infinite amount of time because that would mean that we have never gotten to the present, right? Because to traverse an infinite amount of time, you must have waited an infinite amount of years. It's like saying, can I set an alarm clock? And I said,
Okay,
when this
hold on.
alarm clock goes off, we will get to year
Man,
2026.
I'm so lost. I can't tell which one
Yeah,
of you
hold on,
guys
hold on, I
believes
got-
in God and doesn't believe
yeah,
in God.
so
That's how confusing this is.
Oh yeah, no,
I'm being serious. I'm
because
lost
that proof
completely
is-
right
The
now.
part that I'm gonna, the part
Is
that I'm
disproving the
obviously gonna
contrapositive.
disagree. The part I'm obviously gonna disagree with is like you can't traverse like an infinite. Is that like what you were saying?
Correct. Yeah, you cannot traverse an complete
what's the-
traversing an
what's-
infinite. Yes,
What's
you
the
can.
argument for that?
Because you would never end.
And is an infinite something that doesn't have an end, or is that like there's just an infinite number of
Infinite is
spatial
not a
temporal-
number. Infinite is just unending, in either direction, like we established.
Well, you know what I mean when I say infinite number. When I say infinite number, I'm just saying you could put its members or its constituent members, so one-to-one correspondence with the natural numbers. So whenever
Sure.
I say infinite number, just know that's
Okay, yeah. I don't want to
utilizing the
wordplay
term.
you here. I get what you're saying.
So,
But yeah, you would not get to an end. You would not
wait,
finish.
and you wouldn't finish because there's no end point?
Yes. Can anybody ever count to infinity?
Yeah. Well, to
No,
infinity,
you can't.
like you can't count to infinity, but
No, you
like
can't.
let's say you're hold on.
Sorry, go ahead, but
Let's
you
say
can't.
let's say you're counting from infinity and you're going
There's
to
no
zero.
from infinity. Infinity is
You
not a
can't
number.
do that. You if,
What
I mean,
comes
to
after
someone
be
has
infinity?
fair, you
if
can't
someone-
What comes
count to
before
infinity,
infinity?
but that doesn't prove either side. I
What
just
comes before?
if you-
You said you can.
Hold on,
you
hold on,
said you can
stop.
count starting from infinity. Where do you count after infinity? What comes before infinity?
wait, but you're implying that there's a starting point. Am I correct?
Yes, there must be a starting point.
No, that means you're so the thing that what you're doing is like question begging. You're assuming the
No, I'm not
falsity.
question betting.
You're assuming the falsity of the beginningless theory from the outset, and that's the thing that I'm having an issue with.
Wait, what? What did you say? Sorry, I didn't get
So
you.
if you come from a beginningless series to an endpoint, you can finish it, and the reason why you can finish it is because there's a final member.
No, but there's no
contradiction
starting
that's
member. That's the
entailed.
point. Look, infinity
It doesn't
means
need
either
to have
you cannot go.
It doesn't need to have
You
a
go
starting
indefinitely in
member.
the back direction, or go back. You go indefinitely in the forward direction. Either way is
No,
indefinitely, and you cannot finish it.
Are you
It's like
going
you
to
just
tell
said.
me? Hold on. Are you going to tell me that it needs to have a starting member because
Yes.
they'll never because they'll
Yes, it's
it needs
very
to-
simple,
because-
dude.
Is it because hold on? Is the idea because like the series will never start? Is that the idea?
Yes, the series will never start if you don't have a starting member.
Do you realize you're just kind of like question begging though?
No, I'm not question begging. It's very simple. You just said you can count from infinity or to infinity. You cannot.
goodness.
Okay, just count starting from infinity right now. Go ahead.
Why are
Go ahead.
you
You said you
asking
can
me
count
to
from
do
infinity.
that?
That's what you said, right?
Why? Are you, no. I never said that. Like
You
I
s-
could do that.
You said
Obviously,
you can
like,
count to infinity. You
obviously-
said that.
Obviously,
Unless you want to
I'm a-
retract that statement.
Obviously, I'm someone. No, I'm not going to retract that statement.
Then
right?
show me how you
The-
count from infinity.
Bro, can you shut the fuck up? The thing
I'm just
that I
asking
said
to substantiate your
earlier,
claims.
bro. The thing that I said earlier is that like let's say bro. I'm not fucking infinite old, bro. I can't fucking do that. Hello.
Right.
So let's say that there was someone that existed at every single temporal sub interval, whatever, and that person has always been counting, and from infinity. What's the contradiction that's entailed from them finishing at zero? Like came from infinity, and then like they go okay, 50, 49, 48, yada yada yada, and then zero.
This is the problem.
What's the
contradiction is where do you go from infinity? Okay, say start from negative infinity and count to zero. Go.
Why are you? That's not a contradiction. You're just asking me a question.
Yes.
Bro, he's just not understanding.
Okay. Let's count. Let's count.
I'm asking.
From negative infinity to zero. Ready?
Sorry. I'm asking you for the contradiction. I'm not asking you for like some sort of like epistemic question. Oh, how do you do it? How do I do it is tangential. What's the contradiction?
No. Because infinity is not a number, and you cannot start counting from something that's not a number.
I'm kind of curious where this
There's your
goes.
contradiction.
No,
where does this go though? Like, let's just say you can. Like, then what?
I'm not done. Hey,
Dude, this is simple, Rockstar. Bro,
it's not simple because
you don't have to argue.
You keep saying, oh, you can't start from infinity. Hello, buddy. This is a beginningless series. You don't begin. You have always been counting.
No, that's not possible. That's not non-logically possible.
So when you tell me to start counting, I'm like, brother, in this hypothetical, the person has always been counting. I can't demonstrate this thing to you. I can't demonstrate this thing to you
because it's not nomologically possible. That's why you can't demonstrate it.
No, to be fair, it is impossible.
It's not nomologically possible because when I ask you for the contradiction, you can't provide it. When I ask you for the natural law being violated, you can't provide it.
Yes. Okay. Then let's start counting from negative infinity to zero. Let's go. Okay.
Ooh, you know what you just
negative
did?
Infinity, negative infinity plus 1, negative infinity plus 2. And we're going to end.
You just said, hey, let's start counting. What is the directionality of the series in question? Is it beginningless or endless? Sorry.
Well, it's beginningless. It doesn't matter which
endless.
way. It contradicts both ways.
It's not endless. There's no fucking start, my guy.
That's the point.
Beginningless.
So when you're proving my point, I don't understand what you're saying.
It's because you. The thing is, what you try to do is you take one directionality of like an infinite series, and then what you do is you make characterizations of that series, like, oh, you can't reach the end of like an endless series. You can't do
that's
exactly. And then hold on. Stop. This is the error that you make. You try to apply the same types of critiques to a beginningless series, a different type of series, which you can't do. That's not valid, brother.
Yes, it's completely valid. Okay.
No, they're completely different series.
Let's slow down here.
What's true of one may not necessarily be true of the other.
Oh, you're right, Arx. I think you're going off on a tangent. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I think you get it. Okay. I think what you just said proved my point. Okay. You said some person can count from negative infinity to today to zero. Is that correct?
No, that's not what I said. I am saying that there is no contradiction from, let's say there is someone that has always been counting from negative infinity. And
that's not possible. I'm sorry to cut you off there. That's nomologically not possible. Someone can have always been counting.
Okay. Now, if you're saying that's nomologically impossible, presumably you can provide the nomological law that's violated.
Yeah, because you would never get to the present moment if someone has been always counting.
I'm sorry, which law is that one? I don't know which law that is.
That's the laws of that's laws of time, right?
The laws of time. Why don't you give me the law of time that's being violated? First off, there's like
because you cannot wait forever.
So
you cannot wait forever. Dude, this is a simple concept, dude. I don't understand why you're arguing. This is something simple. This is not even something to be debated.
What's the law of time? Because I haven't heard of that nomological law. It sounds like you just put it out of your ass.
No, it's common sense. There's no law written in some physics text.
Common sense.
Yes. Okay. Then count to infinity for me if it's not common sense. If it's not common sense.
You want me to count to infinity for you?
Or count from negative infinity to zero, like you said was possible.
So you want me to start counting from negative?
That's what you suggested.
Hold on. You want me to?
I said there's no beginning.
Wait, hold on. Can you shut the fuck up and let me talk?
I let you talk. You talk more than me.
Do you want me to start counting from negative infinity?
Well, that's what you suggested, so show it.
Hold on. Do you want me to start counting from negative infinity? That's the question.
Start counting from negative infinity the next 5 numbers, and then show me how we get to zero.
So I have to have always been counting in order to do that.
Which is not possible.
You're asking me to start something that doesn't have a beginning. Why the fuck are you asking me to do a contradiction?
That's the point, dude. That's the point. You cannot start something that doesn't have a beginning. That's why if you go by the eternal universe, you cannot get to the present. That's the point, dude.
Wait, hold on. But the thing is,
what are you arguing?
If we're operating under the theory that there is no start to this fucking infinite regress, what is the problem?
The problem is that's how time works. You cannot violate time. You cannot go from negative infinity to 2000 to 2026. That's how time works, dude.
Hey,
I don't understand.
I
Dude.
don't
Why are
think
you just arguing? Like you
I don't
understand
think you
this?
get it, brother. No,
No, I don't. I
I
asked
don't
you.
understand you. It's a beginningless series. What don't you understand? Why are
If
you
you have
you
a
keep
beginningless
using this
series,
language? You keep using this language of start. You can't start. You
I
can't
was gonna
start.
say,
It's a
yes,
brother,
beginningless
I'm
you
series.
saying the same
asked
thing over and
You're
over
not
again to
brother,
make it
starting
simple.
anything.
brother, you asked Ruxter to start counting to infinity. Just
Because
listen
that's
to
what
what
he
you said.
suggested. That's what he suggested how time could
No,
work.
you're
No,
just Jesus Christ. You're such a dolt. You're like a blockhead.
No, I'm showing Ruxer what the problem is in his viewpoint.
no. You're asking me to start counting from infinity. I need to have always been counting, and so there's going to be like. Obviously, there's going to be a disanalogy there because for me, I can't have always been counting. You're giving
Okay,
me the
okay.
task right fucking now.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. If you have always been counting, right? That's what your analogy is, right? Let's say a person has
If I
always
have
been
always been
counting.
counting, yes.
Okay, we're gonna assume you've always been counting, right? How long would it
Counting
take
down
you?
from infinity.
Sure. How long would it take you to, if you're always been counting, to get to the year 2026? How long would it take you?
I'm not sure, but that's an
An
epistemic question.
unending amount of time.
It's an infinite amount of time. But look, what
An
you're like,
unending amount of
you're
time,
hold on,
and you cannot get to an
stop,
unending amount of time.
stop.
Dude.
You're like confused. Like when you
I'm
would
not
come up,
confused.
yeah,
I made the
yeah.
same point 15 times.
You
One-
wait,
I
hold
don't
on,
understand what
stop.
you argue.
I'll point out.
You-
I'll point out. Hold on. Stop. I'll point out the confusion. First off, you said let's just back up because you said that it violated some nomological law, and what you did was you failed to actually provide a nomological law that was being violated.
There's no
You said-
formal law.
Stop. Shut the
nomological law
fuck
that
up.
prevents this.
Shut the fuck up, dude. Stop.
No, I'm answering
Stop.
you.
You're not. I'm not done talking. Stop.
All right, talk, bro.
Yeah. So you failed there, right? You failed. You never gave a nomological law that's being violated.
It's not
You
a
never
formal
did
law.
that. Stop talking. You're so paranoid.
What,
Like,
what J Mike?
I'm
he
not
did say is
paranoid. I'm
not
answering your
formal law.
question.
I don't
I'm
want
refuting
you
your
to,
claim.
I don't want you to speak over me. Do you understand that?
All right, go speak.
All right. Can you respect that this time?
Yeah, but I'll have to jump in if you actually
No,
claim
no.
that.
You're not gonna look. Don't make me use the mute button, please. I don't want to have to do that. Just
Okay, go ahead,
some
speak, and I'm gonna respond later. Go ahead. I will talk.
yes. Yeah, like a normal person. You will try to be normal. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, so you failed to give a nomological law, and instead what you provided was common sense. That's not a nomological law. Right? That's the dumb. That not only is that not a nomological law, it's literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So, I want to ask you before we move on to this point: do you retract the claim that there's a nomological law being violated, or could you actually provide one? And by the way, you can like mathematically describe laws, right? Like I could give you like the formula. So I could say like, F equals ma and stuff like that is a descriptor for like some law, right? But you didn't do anything like that, right? So could you give me something like that? Don't just say common sense like a toddler.
Okay. Can I respond now, or
Yeah. So
Do you know what nomological means? Hold on.
Yeah.
nomological means by laws, right? Nomos means law, right? So when people say nomological modality, it means by the laws of
It's
the
like a
universe.
law of nature, right?
Yeah, you can say that. Sure.
Yeah. Common sense, we agree, is not a law of nature, right?
No, but common sense can describe laws of nature,
Okay,
right?
it's
How we
not.
observe
Stop.
them.
I don't care about anything else that you have to say, right? So it's not, right? So that was a dumb thing you said earlier.
It wasn't a dumb thing.
It was. It was
No, it wasn't.
objectively a
Common
dumb.
sense is
it was
different for different
stance
people, so-
independently a stupid thing that you said.
It was not a stupid thing to say, but if you don't think it's common sense, I mean, we'll have to
Okay,
describe it differently.
look. I don't care about common. I don't care what's common.
Okay,
sense.
then I won't say common sense. It's not common sense for you.
Okay, so now, so far, do you agree that you have failed to provide a nomological law to Ruxter, at which has been violated? You agree? I'm not saying that you don't have one. I'm just saying so far,
not a formal
you
one.
haven't provided one, correct?
What? No, not a formal one. No.
Okay, great. So why don't we start there? What's the nomological law that's being?
Like I said, it's not a formal law that's written somewhere.
Okay,
Maybe
so
it is somewhere.
so you can't produce the law.
Maybe it is somewhere. It's not a
Maybe
formal
it
law.
is, but you can't actually. Sure, I'll grant maybe, right? That's why I'm asking you. Maybe it does violate a law, but you can't actually provide it, right?
Huh? Sorry,
You
what?
can't actually. I look.
No.
I said. Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. So then, what the fuck are you? What's your defense? The fuck are you saying?
It's not a formal
Like a
law.
crazy
Maybe it is a
person.
formal law, right? But I don't know what it's called. It
Okay,
doesn't
that's
matter.
fine. I don't know what it's called either. That's why I'm inquiring, dumbass. I'm asking you,
Hey,
right?
come on, don't call me dumbass.
I mean, but you are, right?
I'm
Someone
a
has to
dumbass.
tell you.
You think
Someone
you
has
can
to
count from
tell-
infinity? Call this guy who
Someone
says
has
you
to
can count
tell
from
you
infinity,
this
dumbass.
so that, like, when you're on your way to Namek, you can start like fighting and kamehamehaing yourself so you can get better, right? Someone's got
What?
to tell you, brother.
Jay,
Dude,
Mike,
why don't you address the point that's actually being argued? Because you just kind of went off on a tangent, right?
I'm pretty sure I addressed everything that you have not
No,
provided
you
a
didn't.
nomological law. And I was going to get to the second point, which is that you're trying to ask Ruxter to have a series with a beginning. And we're talking about a beginningless series. When you tell him to start counting to infinity, that's not even the right way to think about it. Like, imagine you came across you were walking down the alley and you see like me and Ruxter, and I'm like staring at him, and he's just like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And we're like, hey, what did you just do? And he was like, oh, I've always been counting, and I just finished that series at the present moment just now. I just finished that series. That was the 0. I'm still counting in my head, but like that was that present moment there. Right? You're not even like visualizing this correctly.
No, I mean,
You're
this is
so
such a. I
off.
think you're a dumbass. I think you're a dumbass, honestly.
Okay,
because
I'm a
it's so
dumbass
simple.
that you didn't
Yes,
provide
you're a
normal-
dumbass because
I'm
you're
a
not
dumbass-
understanding.
okay, I'm
You
gonna-
cannot
I'm gonna
count
mute- I'm
from
gonna
negative
mute you.
infinity.
Yeah, listen, buddy. You're not even My point is that you didn't provide a nomological law, and you're not.
It's
even
not about providing a
visualizing-
nomological
You're not
law.
even visualizing the counting sequence correctly.
What? It's not about providing a nomological law. It's about
That's
common.
what
It's
you
about
said. That was your claim.
yeah. Well, nomological laws of the universe. It's
Well, if
Wait,
it's not
let me-
about it,
some
then
law,
don't
right?
be a dumbass and say
let me
dumbass shit
ask-
like that.
It's not dumbass
Let me-
shit.
Let me
If it's
ask
not,
this
doesn't violate a
question.
nomological law,
Hold on.
provide me otherwise. Give me a counter argument. Show me how to count from negative infinity.
So you can't reach the end of an endless series because it has no end, right?
That's correct.
Do you think by the same reasoning you can't reach the end of a beginningless series?
The end of a beginningless series.
Yes.
Yeah, you cannot get to the end of a beginningless series because you had never started.
Okay, and that's not because it doesn't have an end.
Oh my god.
It's because it doesn't have a beginning, which means you never
Because it doesn't
started.
have a beginning.
Oh my god. This guy's so stupid. This guy's so fucking
What do you guys
dumb.
not understand about this? It's like saying I can finish a book that I never started.
Oh my! What do we?
I finished
was
reading a
about to
book,
say
but
the
I never
same
started
fucking
it,
What
guys.
do we
That really
not
makes a lot of
understand
sense,
about
right?
this? Are you fucking? That's adorable. That's so cute.
What's so cute?
Like that's so cute. Like,
Show me how you can get
actually
to the
adorable.
end of a beginningless series. Show me.
brother, Ruxter, say what you said to him again, and like, let's like really break it down for him so that he gets to the point where
Dude,
he goes,
this is-
oh,
dude,
fuck,
I think you guys
said
are
a
missing the
dumbass
point.
thing that I said. That's what I did.
But
You didn't
the
say
thing is,
anything,
like,
J Mike said nothing.
You're saying, hold on. You're saying the one thing that I think needs to be highlighted is like, you wouldn't reach the end of a beginningless series because you'll have never started, right?
Yes.
But what if you were always going?
Well, that's the same thing. It has no beginning. If you're always going, where's the beginning?
Why are you?
Where's the beginning if you're always going?
Brother, why would a beginningless series have a beginning?
Well, you're contradicting yourself. I'm saying, what if it was always going?
I'm contradicting myself.
If it was
I'm trying to
always
get you
going,
on track, you
it just-
dumbass.
Wait,
It just
if it's
sounds like
always
you're
going,
saying-
where's the beginning?
It just sounds like you're saying a beginningless series is impossible because like there isn't like a beginning.
Yes, and what you just said contradicted itself
Yes.
because you said, what if it's been always
You
been
said
going?
yes to that, by the way, just for the I want the record to show
It's
that you
always been
said yes
going,
to
right?
that.
It's always been going. That means it has no beginning. It's the same thing.
So you don't think? Wait, J Mike. Like, I told him like, doesn't this sound like question bank? Like you're assuming the falsity of
It's 100
Hey, buddy.
It's a-
If
it's a
something has always been
billboard.
going, has it as a beginning?
It's a billboard on I-80. It's a billboard on I-85 for question begging. It's like advertisement for question begging.
Please question
What?
back here.
Dude, let me ask you something. You just said something has always been going, right? If something has always been going, does it have a beginning?
Brother, what you're saying, what you're saying is, hey, look, this beginningless series, it can't happen because it doesn't have a beginning. It's like almost equivalent if I'm like saying like
How the fuck do you not understand this? This is so fucking simple.
it's
I'm
almost
sorry,
like me being like it's it's a non-God. Like I'm just in my view, I'm like it's a non-God world, and someone's like, yeah, but what if God existed? And I'm just like, but God doesn't exist. But God does. I can't even find a stupid enough example to help you like see how dumb.
I don't
Beginningless.
even, dude, I've been arguing the same
Wait,
fucking
hold on.
shit for the past like 40 minutes now.
Wait,
It's
J
kind
Mike,
of
hold
embarrassing.
on.
Why are you guys even
I gotta
arguing about
defend
this?
him a little bit here. I gotta defend him a little bit here, because J Mike, what he's saying is a beginningless series is impossible because it's a beginningless series. I think that's a little bit more compelling.
You think
That's what I've said for the past 40. What is going on now? Now you
that
want to
you put it that way, I think that, yeah, I think you're right. I didn't really think about it like that.
All right, guys. So do we get past that? Do you understand the beginningless series is not possible because it has no beginning?
He's not even not even aware you're making fun of him. That's like how sad it is.
Do you guys understand that you cannot get to the end of a beginningless series?
It's like you're saying a theory is impossible by just like stating what the theory is. You have to demonstrate the impossibility within
I just
yeah,
did.
like in virtue of what is it impossible to have a look? In virtue of what is it impossible to have a beginningless series? In virtue of what? You can't just say because it doesn't have a beginning, right?
If it has no beginning, it would not have started. Correct?
That's what's being stipulated. Yeah.
Okay. And if something has not started, you cannot get to any point on the sequence, let alone the end. Is that right?
Why not?
No, that's
because how the fuck can you get to the end of something if you haven't started it?
That's a question, by the way. It's not a defense. Right.
He asked
Yes,
you
but
why
it's
not.
exactly my defense.
I don't defend things with.
It doesn't
How
matter if it's a
about
question. The
this
point is the same.
question
Dude.
I have
Oh
for
my
you?
gosh, dude. Dude, guys, like, are you guys trolling? Like, do you guys not understand this?
well, like we're trying to ask you like the contradiction, and then you ask a question like. So what you try to
because
do is,
I
like,
said
hold
a
on,
simple
one second,
question, a simple statement.
It's like when we ask you for like the contradiction or the nomological violation, you do this weird burden shift thing where you try to ask us how is it the case that these things can
Exactly.
can be
It's
actualized.
not burden shifting.
It's 100%.
It's showing my point.
My guy, that's burden shifting 101.
It's
That's not burden shifting. That's proving my point.
It's not, brother.
Oh, wait, I'm gonna give you an example.
You did not provide a fucking argument. That would be proving your fucking point.
Yes,
right?
brother.
If give me an example of a sequence.
Brother,
Like
stop.
to me, this is why I say
Hold on,
common
no,
sense.
just
You're,
real quick,
doing it again. You're burden shifting again.
Exactly. You're doing the same thing. Like,
Oh my gosh, this is so
imagine,
weird.
imagine that I said God is impossible, right? Just imagine
show
I
it.
said. Stop. Okay, exactly. So I should show it. Now instead of me showing it, I go, but how is it possible that God could exist? You're gonna look at me and be like, bro, you're the one saying it's not possible. Make a defense, right? That's what you would say, right?
Well, yeah, because you're making the affirmative claim that God
Exactly,
is impossible.
dumbass. So this it's the same form. I just replaced semantic content. It's the exact same form, right?
No, but my point actually made sense.
Oh my god, you are like literally. I haven't been on TikTok for like 3 months, and somehow like I stumble into like the dumbest person of all time.
No, I think that I have the pleasure of having stumbled upon the dumbest person of all time because you think that something can exist
I will let
without
you
having
think
started.
that. It's fine. I have no problem with you thinking that. I don't care if the dumbest person on the earth thinks I'm the dumbest. That's what I would expect the
Well,
dumbest
you
person
kind
to
of
think.
sound like it right now. I don't want to be disrespectful, but like if you think some
I
sequence.
100% mean to sound.
Okay. Let me give you an
I'm
example of a
100%
sequence. For
wanting to
example, a
sound
staircase, right?
disrespectful to you,
A
so I hope
staircase
that's
is a
clear.
sequence, right? A staircase is a sequence, correct? Staircase has 10 steps, right? If the staircase has no beginning, can you get to the 10th step?
You're asking me a question. I'm asking you why.
Yes, and it's proving my point, right?
Why is it not possible if there was a staircase like it's like Mario 64 staircase, like the never-ending staircase, but backwards? Like he's always been running up the
Okay,
stairs.
can you ever get to the end of the 64
Bowser?
staircase?
He can get to that Bowser level, right? He can get to that little tunnel and he goes into that last Bowser level, right? He can do that. But
Because
I'm asking,
there's an
that's
end
my view. I see no nomological violation that prevents Mario from getting to the last Bowser level from the never-ending staircase in reverse. There's no problem in my view, but you say that's not possible, and I'm asking in virtue of what? Now, don't ask me a fucking question. Give a defense.
I did give a defense. And guys, maybe I just stopped you
What's
because-
the argument? You asked. What's the argument?
No, because without a beginning, you cannot instantiate any sequence. I mean, this is so fucking simple.
That's
I don't-
question. That's
How's that question begging?
That's the very thing in
That's the thing
question,
in
my guy.
contention,
How?
dude. The
How?
thing in contention
How can you
is
not see that?
Stop. The thing in contention is why can't you have a beginningless series where you get to this end point? And your response is because you can't have a beginningless series that doesn't get to an end point. That's your response.
No,
dumbass.
because you don't have a start. dumbass. You don't have a start, you fucking dumbass.
We're asking why you can't have the start and an
That's
endpoint.
how the fucking world works.
No,
There's no
how
there's
the
no
world
you're just
works.
assuming.
Question begging again.
You're
no
just
fucking way to explain
assuming
this
the
rock bottom.
falsity of the position from the outset, my guy.
Literally.
Guys, this is rock bottom explanation. This is the way things are. It's like
Brother,
asking why do atoms
brother,
exist?
just the way things are.
brother, people in your own camp, will tell you are making a mistake.
Who is my own camp?
Anybody that knows like more, like just a cursory level of philosophy that believes
This
in
is
the
not
same
even philosophy,
God that
dude.
you believe in. They will tell you. They will go, brother.
Yes, it
there
is
are better.
philosophy.
Guys, how can you
There
know
are
that
better.
something can
You are not
exist
doing
without
a
a
good
start?
job. They will tell you this. This is a horrible job. Horrible.
Horrible on your part for not understanding fucking common sense. Like, guys, I don't even know how I can explain this.
You're just lashing out.
Brother, you just said common sense. Like I
Yes,
seems
because
like
I guess I'm
you're
talking to some fucking
what it-
retards who don't
what-
understand that you can
what-
not get to the end of
Whoa,
something if you
you-
haven't started it.
That's fine.
Don't
That's
say the
fine.
R
No,
word.
no,
Don't say the R word.
that's fine. Like it just seems like what you're doing
Sorry
is
about-
like you have like these strong intuitions about how the world works and how metaphysics work, and then you're like trying to like inject it into the argument when I don't think you should be doing that. Like saying things like common sense. Like
It's
this
like
is
saying
like
the
so
sky is
obvious.
blue. How do we know the sky is blue? How do look at the sky? How do we know it's blue? How do we know? Do we know it's another color?
Yeah,
This is
but
what
like
you guys are doing.
the thing that you're bringing up is way more contentious than like the sky being blue.
No, it's not. It's really not. It has a few more moving parts to it, but it's really not.
Yes, it. Where
The
do you?
sky couldn't be red. How do you know that? Because
How do we know that?
be red. It has to be blue. That's
How
literally
do we know it's
what
blue? Is it yellow?
Wait, do you think everyone? Do you think
How do we know
everyone's
that? Under what
uniformity
premise is
about
that
like
blue?
whether the infinite regress is true or not?
What?
Do you think like the infinite regress or the finite regress view, or I should say the finite regress view, is like the common sense or like the popular view?
What do you mean popular view? It's the view because
Like, that's
it's
the view-
real.
That's the
By the
view
way-
that's like held by like.
By the way, that's
metaphysicians.
that's my view. Just so you
No,
know.
it's not my view. It's the way the world is.
No, stop.
That's the
I'm
world view.
letting you know. I'm letting you peek behind the curtain. I'm a causal finitist, right? I think that there's a beginning. I don't
Right?
think that there's an
Then why are we
infinite.
arguing this?
Stop. Because I don't think that there's a contradiction in like say Ruxter holds this view. I don't think his view hosts a contradiction.
Absolutely it
Violates
does.
violates a nomological law, and I would never say that can't happen because it has to have a beginning. I would never beg the question and assume the falsity of his view in favor of mine. I wouldn't do that. That's just that's just terrible philosophy. It's just
But also
No, it's not
just-
terrible philosophy. I asked Rochester.
Stop interrupting.
also
I know
just
he talked
saying-
for like 10 minutes.
Hold on,
Stop
but
interrupting.
I asked Rochester.
I said like 4 sentences. Just give me
But
a
just
second.
saying that's how the world is question begging though. Do you not understand that?
No, it's not. Well, I explained it.
You're just assuming that causal finitism is true from the outset.
No, and I explained why.
And
then
as
I
another,
explained-
and as somebody,
and then you have the
who thinks that there's a
contrapositive view,
beginning.
right?
You're doing a dog shit job at representing like a defense for our view, right?
It's not a dog shit job. I mean,
It
I
is.
guess you
As
guys are
someone
too
who holds
stu- I
the
don't wanna
same
call
view
Rochester
as you,
stupid,
as
but
someone
you're
who
too
holds
stupid,
the
Mike, to
same
understand
view,
this.
as someone who holds the same view as you, you're doing a terrible job.
I don't give a shit what view you hold. You're not arguing. You're arguing the opposite, and you're doing a fucking
I'm
horrible
arguing.
job.
Yeah, I'm
you don't
showing.
understand
No,
common sense.
I'm not even arguing the opposite because I'm not arguing in favor. I'm showing you that your critique.
You didn't show me
doesn't-
anything, by the way. But go on.
Yeah, I'm showing you that your critique doesn't work. It's not a good critique. The same way.
It's not a critique.
the
It's fact.
same way that if I believed in God and
Every
Ruxter
time
believed
he
in
does that.
stop. The same way that if Ruxter was an atheist and goes, I affirm God doesn't exist, and I'm an atheist and I affirm God doesn't exist, and I give a dog shit argument for atheism, and Ruxter calls me out and goes, that's not a good argument for these reasons, right? Rather than me being a motivated reasoner like you, right? What I would do is go, oh, you know what, that's right. And in fact, like
Well,
one of our
depends
friends,
what your reason is. Depends what your explanation is.
stop,
No, come on.
stop.
You talk for too long now, dude.
yeah,
Come on.
and in fact, one of our good friends, Amdir, has given me pushback on this view specifically for the reasons I
But dude,
give.
this is not
right?
even about a view. This is about
And my
nomological-
my
the way the
answer
world
is not
works.
my answer is not to go, oh fuck, that's stupid. It's given me like real philosophical.
say it's
anxiety,
stupid.
right? You're not someone that takes information and actually like.
I did take information, and
no,
he
you don't.
takes
You
the
don't absorb.
contrapositive view
No,
that I do.
you don't. You don't
I
absorb.
explained
Any,
to
you don't absorb
I
anything
asked him to
anyone
explain
tells
how to show to count from negative infinity, and he failed to do so.
you.
Wait,
don't
wait,
absorb
hold on,
anything anyone tells
Wait,
you.
wait. Let's
You're
get
like-
clarity
it's
on
like-
it.
It's like
Let's
talking
get
to a
clarity on the
block of
statement he
marble.
just made. So,
Yeah,
like,
no, I'm talking to a block of marble because I said the same fucking shit for the past 40 minutes, like the most simple thing, and you guys are saying how? How?
Hold on.
How can we get to the end of an endless set?
We're asking you like the contradiction or something, and then your response is to ask us to do it, to like perform the task. Is that the idea?
To show a counterexample.
No. We
You
don't have to show
it exactly.
We have to show you
You're
dick.
the one who has to substantiate the
Yes,
claim, brother.
we can just laugh at you and go, you didn't actually defend the view that it's impossible. We win, you lose. That's all we have to do.
Because there's nothing to defend here. It's just so simple.
Okay, wow, you're okay.
You see, this is why I think
we're done then. I think we're done. Like
yeah.
that sounds like the most concession of a debate I've ever heard in my life.
What the fuck? This is not even a debate, dude. I didn't even get past my first point, which is explaining like
you never had a point. Ever.
Yes, I did.
Never
Then why are you on this panel if I never had a point? What are you arguing?
I look. I haven't been on TikTok in like 3 months, and I've like lurked a little bit. It was the first time I felt compelled to come up and go, "Wow, you are really stupid."
Well, then maybe get off. Then why do you keep talking to me?
Because I just want to let you know how stupid.
Yeah, because you want to let me know that you're a fucking retard, dude. Like seriously, this is so.
I don't think.
Can we not? This is even the first part of my proof, right? How God exists, and we can't even get past the first part because you think some sequence can be ended without even having begun. Like, how can that even like? How can it make sense? Like more obviously.
Well, the reason why it makes sense is because there's an ending.
Yeah, but you haven't started. So how can you get to the end?
If you have always counted, of course you haven't started. Come on, man.
Okay, if you've always been counting, you haven't started, right? So there's no beginning. So there's no beginning. It's analogous to always been counting.
What's the problem that there's no beginning? What's the problem?
The problem is that without a beginning, you cannot get to the end.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing.
Not true.
Well, how can you not even like understand
Why can't you get? Why can't you get there? Why can't you? Explain.
Because you haven't counted, you will never get to the end.
Why?
Because how long will you be counting?
That's the thing that I'm asking you. Why can't you get to the end? I asked you, dumbass. I asked you why you can't get to the end.
Simple fucking words. I'm trying to think.
Dumbass.
Well, J Mike, hold on.
I asked you.
J Mike, he doesn't understand that like the responses he's giving are like semantically equivalent to each other. He doesn't understand that
they are semantically equivalent to each other because it's the same fucking point.
Well, that's bad then because you're not providing any additional content.
Oh my god.
I don't want to say
so hold on. So J Mike, he doesn't understand that like him saying
it's the same fucking shit, and I don't know how to get
the responses. No, it's because like the thing.
I asked you how you get to the end, and your response. I go. Why can't?
Okay,
you?
I go.
Why can't you?
I'm trying to think of a way to
interrupting me. Stop. I go. Why can't you get to the end? And you go because you can't get to the end. That's what you said to me.
I'm trying to explain. I'm trying to come up with a way to explain this the way you can understand because.
No, I need a way that's not just repeating the same thing to me, which is by the way,
come up with an easier way for you to understand
that I want a different sentence than the same sentence.
I know. I mean, to me, it's common sense. I think for most people, it's common sense.
I don't care about what you think. I'm trying to come up with a way I care about
that even your dumbass can understand.
Well, most people don't study metaphysics, so I'm not going to be using them as like a sample for.
If you're accounting,
inferences.
How long will it take you to get to the present from negative?
Stop asking me a question. Give me a defense.
This is my fucking defense. I'm asking you. Can you answer the question?
Brother,
can you answer the question? It doesn't matter if it's a question.
Brother,
it proves a point.
If you can defend a view, you can defend a view without having a person there to ask questions to. You put an argument.
Yes, and I have, and you're not getting it. So now I'm trying a different tactic. So you're dumb enough to understand.
You agree that? No.
Can you answer my question then?
No, I'm not.
Can you answer my question?
I'm not going to answer a question
when
you're supposed to.
Because it defeats your fucking view.
My view is your view. I'm a causal finitist. You're a dumbass.
Okay, well, you're arguing the other view, so I don't know why you're arguing the other view.
I'm not arguing. God, you're so stupid. I'm not arguing the other view. I'm saying your critique against this view does not work. Do you understand?
Yes, it does. It's not even a view, dude. It's fact.
Do you understand?
I'm trying to explain to you to understand it, but I don't understand why.
Oh my God.
That's you're not
the question-begging part that we're talking about, brother. You're assuming
rip my hair out.
The beginningless series is false from the outset. Yikes, brother.
Okay, can you answer my question then? Because this is a question now about your view, right?
No, the reason. Look,
this is a question about your view.
I can
right?
answer.
If it makes sense, you should be able to answer it, right?
No, stop burden shifting, you fucking piece of shit.
No, it's the fucking way of explaining my point. It's not even burden shifting.
It is literally.
No, it's not burden shifting.
What does he think burden shifting is? What do you think burden shifting is?
No, it's not burden shifting.
What is burden shifting?
Yeah, what do you think burden shifting is? That's a great
burden shifting is putting the burden on the other person. When you have the burden.
What do you think you're doing when you're asking them?
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because your view is contrapositive of mine.
Fucking idiot.
Wait. What does it mean to put the burden on them? What does that mean?
Bro said it doesn't matter.
Well, you do have to explain your point because it's the contrapositive of mine.
How old are you? How old are you?
Your view is a contrapositive of mine. So I'm asking you.
How old are you?
If you can count to infinite, how long will it take you to get there? Right? Can you not answer that question? Because this
You
is your
said-
view,
you
it's the
said-
contrapositive of mine.
did you-
so stop
did
bitching
you
about
ask
burden
us-
shifting, just answer a fucking question about your view.
Did you ask us how long will it take us to count to infinity?
Yes, or how long will it count?
Are you
take to
asking
count
us like? Are you asking us
an
like
endless-
how long will it take
from a
to reach
beginningless
the
point to
Wait,
know?
can you, brother? Damn.
I'm answering your
No,
question, bro.
I know,
Can you
it's
wait?
insane.
Can you just let me say something?
Go ahead.
Worse
So are
than
you
me- he's
are
worse
you
than me
asking
somehow.
Are
That's
you
crazy.
are you asking us like how long does it take to reach the end of an endless series? Is that what you're asking?
Yes,
This I don't even know what
That's
to say.
your
to
viewpoint.
Mike, what do you say
It's
to
like-
this is your
You
fucking
can't.
viewpoint.
You really think this is my viewpoint?
This is exactly your viewpoint, dude. I don't understand what you're having a problem with here.
God, brother. This
Bro
is
said,
insane.
how long
J-Mac,
does it
just
take
get
for
the fuck
P
out
and
of it,
not
please.
P?
I'm
Like,
sorry.
brother.
Insane,
Because
brother.
you're not actually adding anything. All right, I'm trying to explain to
I think I
Rockster.
did. I think. By the way, I
Rockster's
got
having a problem here. I'm trying to
I
explain
actually
to him.
I even got a concession out of you that you didn't provide a nomological law. Your nomological.
It has nothing
the
to do with that.
nomological
It's
law-
fucking common
Shut the
sense.
fuck up. The nomological law.
No, you
which
shut the fuck up, dude.
The
It has nothing to do with
nomological
nomological law
law-
specifically. It has to do
I
with
mean, I
common
will.
sense.
When I'm done talking, I will shut the fuck up. Ready? So the nomological law, which you provided earlier, I did. You said I didn't provide anything. I got you to admit that you didn't provide.
It
a
doesn't
nomological
matter.
law.
It does.
Okay, well,
I said it's not a formal law.
I got a concession out of you because the
Well,
law.
you got a
which
concession out of me.
for all the new
I
people
got
that
10 concessions
for
out
all
of
the
you because
new
you don't
for all the
understand
new
fucking
people
basic shit.
for all the new people that came in here. He thinks like infinite, series is impossible, and he said there's a
It is.
violation of a nomological law. And when asked what that law was,
It's
his
common
response
sense.
was common sense. That was his,
Yeah.
that was his response. By the way, he said it before I could even get it out the fucking
I
gun.
agree.
Yeah,
It's not a formal law, J. Mike. Come on.
I said
Yeah.
that.
And then, and it says it's not a formal law, and I go, great. So you don't
There probably
actually
is
have
some
a
formal
law.
law.
You don't actually have a law of nature which is violated like at all. And he was like, yeah.
Dude, that's not even the point.
And-
That's not even
and
the point in the
then-
argument. So actually,
and then when I
because
asked
you're
him,
addressing
and
something
then
that's
when
not
I
even the
asked
point.
him, stop. And then when I asked him, I go, hey, so why is it impossible?
Okay,
I
so
gave the-
Rockstar, if
I
you're
gave-
counting
I gave
from
the
negative
annou- stop.
infinity,
Shut the fuck,
dude, you
oh my
shut the
God.
fuck up. You're not actually
it's-
saying
Wait, hold on,
anything.
J. Mike. J. Mike. It is an informal law, so it probably wears jeans to like galas and stuff.
Very informal. Very informal.
Yeah.
Because that's how time works. That's the law of time.
Brother, I gave you
There's your nomological law. Law of
you
time.
asked if there was like an infinite past series and we could get to an endpoint. Is it possible, right? And we were like, yeah. And I gave the example. I was like, think of like in Super Mario 64, you got Mario running up the never-ending staircase, but just think of it like in reverse.
Oh yeah, Mario 64 is
always-
a great point to your.
Stop.
argument.
He's always been running up the stairs, and the question is, can he get to that last Bowser level? And our answer is yes. And we asked you why it's not possible, and you go, well, you couldn't get to the end because you couldn't get to the end. That was your response. It's recorded, right? So I just and then all you proceeded
Does
to
the
do after that
staircase
was
have an end or not?
and then
Mario 64.
Yeah, exactly,
I mean, if
exactly.
you're going to use
Thank you
video
for,
games,
actually,
as a
thank you
point
for
of
doing.
reference for
Actually, thank
argument,
you for making my next point, which is all you proceeded to do was ask us questions about our view. Which, by the way, I hold.
Well,
your
yeah,
view.
because you couldn't
I'm
answer
a
them because your view is
finitist,
bullshit.
and
That's why.
I'm a
Ask me any
finitist.
question
And
about my
then
view. I'll be
I'm a
happy to answer.
finitist, and then what you didn't understand was you were like, I don't know why you're defending this view. And you don't even understand. You're so dumb. You don't even understand the difference between me going, look, your critique of this view doesn't work. It's dog shit. And you think that's equivalent to me having the same view as like Ruckster. I don't. I have your
No,
view.
but I don't give a
have
shit what your
view,
view is. I
dumbass.
give a shit what you're arguing, right? You're arguing against my view, and I'm showing you why that view is bullshit, right?
I'm
so I
arguing,
asked Rockster to explain his
that your
view.
critique is.
I asked
it
Rockster
is
to explain his
horrible.
view,
It's
and he was
terrible.
unable to do so. He said, "Oh, you're burden shifting. You can ask me anything about my view. I'm happy to
you
answer."
are-
Right?
So wait,
My
hold
view
on.
holds-
No,
my
but
view
no,
holds-
that's not true.
Just
That's
for
what I've been
clarity's
asking
sake.
you. That's
Well,
what I've been
just for
asking.
clarity's sake, like a beginningless series is impossible because it's a beginningless series.
That's the easy way to say it. I mean, if you want to,
Oh my God!
want me to
so-
elaborate
Andy,
more,
Yeah.
Andy,
this will never have started.
This is your
I'm
brain
blown
on
away.
fucking drugs right here. I don't know what the fuck's
That's
over
no, but like he's got a point though. Like, come on.
Yeah, a beginningless series would have never started.
A beginningless series is impossible because it's a beginningless series. That's like, I mean, come on now.
It's impossible to traverse. Don't put words in my mouth. It's impossible to traverse completely.
Wait. I asked you like
You-
3
you
times,
did-
bro. You signed off on all
You
3.
asked for if you assented to that, and you said
Don't
yes.
even.
Yeah,
Don't
but
even say I
you're
put
so-
words
you're-
in your mouth.
This is
No,
why
because you said it's impossible.
directly called you a piece of shit. This is why I directly called
It's
you
impossible.
a piece
It's
of shit
impossible
earlier.
to traverse to get to the end of it, right?
You're just so dishonest. This is why I called you a piece of
No,
shit
Roxer,
earlier.
this is
because you're
why
so
I'm trying to
dishonest.
explain to you the most simple way, right? A beginningless series is not instantiated, right? And you cannot get to the end of it, right? To me, this is
Yeah, a
common
beginningless
sense.
series doesn't begin.
To
yeah,
me,
yeah.
this is common sense, right? So to you, it's not common sense. So I
No,
asked
because
you to explain your view
the
because
thing
it's not
that
common
you're
sense,
saying is just not
and you
informative.
were
You're
unable
just
to explain
restating.
it. You were unable to show the
what
contrapositive, so
Jesus.
therefore you're wrong.
You're restating. That's not how that works. But you're just
Yes, it is.
restating.
That's how it works in this case. Yes, it is.
No,
who are you attempting to parrot, by the way? Because like you don't understand
Roxer,
the things
you
you're
get
saying,
how-
so
you
you're like
get how
obviously parroting something.
You were unable to explain your view, and instead of bitching about burden shifting, explain it, right? Oh, burden shifting. Well, explain it. Explain how we can count from negative infinity to today. How long would it take you? You know,
Well,
I'm not asking for
how long is
completely.
how long is a tangential question, right?
What? I'm just
How
asking
long
you to
is
show
a
your view.
tangential question? All that matters is that you can reach the end of the beginning.
No, you can't.
Of the series.
Okay, then walk me through it. Walk me through it. Right, we're counting from negative infinity.
Yeah, if someone
What
has
goes after
always
negative
been
infinity?
counting, if someone has always been counting, and then they go, all right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
No, and then they will start. Okay, what came before the 10? 11, and what came before that?
I gave this example.
Well,
I gave the example.
And then
of
you go all the way to what? 10 billion? No, then you have to go back more.
Stop! I gave
You
you
will
the
never have
example,
gotten to the
dude.
present
I
because you
gave
have
you
started
the
negative
I
infinity.
gave you the example that you come up across somebody.
You didn't give me
and
any
they're counting-
example.
And they're
Are
counting.
you
yes.
saying it wouldn't have gotten to the present because there wasn't a beginning?
Yes. What the fuck?
Brother,
Have you not been like
You're
listening?
just you're just describing the view when you try to like use that as substantiation.
Okay, so Roxy, you just said we got from 10, right? Blah blah blah
it's
blah
like
blah.
you're
We got
just
to 10.
saying you're just
10, 9, 8,
saying
7, 6, 5, 4,
all
3,
you're
2, 1.
just saying,
right? How long would it take to get to
the
that 10?
semantic equivalent of what you're saying is a beginningless series of temporal events is false because it's a beginningless series of temporal events. Brother,
No.
that's not informative.
No. Well, no, this is done for. That's why I'm asking you to explain the counter viewpoint, which is your
Not
which
as
is
false because
my
it's,
counter viewpoint. Sorry, which is your viewpoint, right? So you said, okay, we get to blah 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 blah. We get to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What happened? How long did it take you to get to 10? Right? Someone's always been counting to get to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. How long does it take to get to 10?
Asking how long? That's so weird. That's like
No,
tangential.
it's not weird. It's not weird. It's your viewpoint. Explain it.
No, it's not. The point is you can, in principle, reach an end.
No,
whether
you
or not.
can't.
Okay, so now that you great. So
Well,
if that's,
we're
if
getting
that's
somewhere
the
with
sal-
Rockstar,
if,
right?
Stop. If that's the salient
Like how
point,
long?
if
Are
the
you asking?
stop, if the salient point is whether or not you can get
No,
to the
Rockstar
end,
just
it
proving the
doesn't.
point.
It doesn't matter how much time.
Yes, it does. That's exactly the point. Of course it matters. That's
No,
what I
because
explained
you
to
don't think
Rockstar.
it's possible. If
Rockstar
it
said,
took,
okay, someone has been counting over and over and over again, right? They get to 10, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How long have you must been counting before you got to that 10?
they've always been counting.
No, how long? I didn't ask that. I asked how long.
If we took the seconds and put them
How
to,
long must you have been
I'm
counting?
trying to give you an answer. Chill
Okay,
the
go
fuck
ahead.
out.
Go ahead.
Damn, bro.
Go ahead.
If
Give me
we
an
put,
answer.
like, if we put like let's say infinite amounts of seconds it took them.
Okay, how long?
An infinite number, Aleph no.
No. Give me a number.
Aleph no. What you want me to give you a number? Are you like assuming that it's not infinite when you ask me that question?
Yeah, how long? No. I don't even think.
Because like when
Don't
you
even
say
think
how
no,
long,
don't even think set theory. Don't even think set theory now. Just think how long.
that's how I think of series like with set theoretic notions. That's how you.
Okay,
make them
no,
more
I
simple.
understand that. I understand.
It
But when I
sounds
talk
like he
about
wants
time,
you to say like December
right?
27th.
Don't think about set theory, right?
It sounds like he wants to say like
from.
10 years or some shit.
Right. I see where you're coming from, right? But set theory, you have to be careful because infinite sets, right? You have to actually show them that they don't actually exist in concrete. So don't think about set theory. And I'm just asking you a simple
What do
question,
you?
right?
What does?
How
what
long?
does that? Hold on. What? Why are you saying that? That's such a weird thing to say. That
No,
I have
it's not a weird
show
thing
that-
to say because sets are abstract, right? Set theory is abstract, right? Time is not an abstract thing, so you have to be careful how you make them analogous, right? You cannot make them analogous. So that's why I'm asking you, right? How long? Give me hours, days, years, whatever. How long would it take to get to that 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1? How long? Years, centuries, how long?
Well, it depends.
long
If
it
you're
takes.
counting at a constant rate, it's going to take you an infinite amount of time.
Yeah, brother.
Okay, so an infinite amount of time. So can we say infinite
And why
amount of
is that
years?
not possible? What's the
Whoa,
problem?
whoa, J-Mac, shut up.
What's
please.
the problem?
How long? So
What's
you
the
said an infinite amount of
problem?
years?
What's the problem?
J-Mac, shut up. We said
What's
infinite amount
the
of years.
problem?
Yeah, we can say years.
I want to make
we
sure I
can say
understood you correctly,
seconds.
Rockstar.
We can
Infinite
say
amount of years?
seconds. We can
What's
say
the
years.
problem?
We can say centuries.
J-Mike, see, and I know you're conceding because you cannot let me finish. I'm getting to the
No,
point
I'm
here.
asking you, what's the
Well,
problem?
shut up. Give me 10 seconds. I'm going to explain to you the problem. Rockstar, how long?
I bet you money it's
Shut up,
because
see,
it's a
again, you're
beginningless
interrupting me 'cause
series.
you know
I bet
you're
you that's
defeated.
the answer.
You
I
know
bet you
you're
the answer
Wait,
is because it's a
J-Mike,
beginning.
don't spoil it. Stop. That's where I want it to go. Hold on.
Yeah. J-Mike, we're almost done. I promise you. You can say all the shit you
All
want
right,
after this.
I'll mute
Rockstar,
until you
how long-
say it
There you
because
go.
it's a
See,
beginningless
J-Mike can't
series,
shut up
and then
'cause
I'm
he knows
gonna
he's defeated.
laugh in your face.
J-Mike, shut up. J-Mike can't shut up because he knows he's defeated. Rockstar, so how long?
Hey,
I'm sorry,
Trogdor, by the
Rockstar,
way.
you're answering? I'm sorry, I want to get Rockstar's answer. How many years?
Let's say an infinite number of years.
Okay, infinite amount of years.
Yeah.
Will we ever have gotten to an infinite amount of years? Will we ever have finished an infinite amount of years to get to your 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1? Will we have
Will
ever
we have
finished
finished
an
an
infinite amount of
infinite
years?
number of years? Yes.
Okay, then I'm sorry, then you're wrong.
What's the
Because you
problem?
cannot-
You're wrong. What's the
Because
problem? What's the
we
problem?
get- because
Why
infinite
can't? What's the
means
problem?
unending.
Why is
Got
that not?
me.
Why is that not true? What's the problem?
Because it's
He
an
got me.
infinite means unending. Infinite
No.
means we must have finished getting to an unending amount of time.
We went over the semantics from the start. Infinite does not mean unending, brother man.
In this case, it does. Yes, in this case,
No,
it
it does not. I told you from the outset.
Oh my
See,
God, this guy is so
This
dumb.
is where the dishonesty. I told you from the outset.
Okay, let me.
Infinite in this case just means there's a one-to-one correspondence with the natural numbers.
Okay,
That
wait.
doesn't
Here we
imply-
go. Here we go again.
That doesn't imply that the thing is endless in question.
Okay, Rockstar, no. Rockstar, you almost got there. Okay, so instead of you say infinite amount of years, let me explain this another way, right? Because I think you got it, but I just want to make sure we understand this. So infinite amount of years. If I take an
you
alarm
on the
clock,
back, Rexter.
J-Mike, shut up. If I take an alarm clock and I say go off after an infinite amount of years, and then we get to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, will that alarm clock ever go off? If I say go off after an infinite amount of years?
If the alarm clock was always
No.
Hold on. Whoa.
Okay,
What's
go
going
ahead,
on
go ahead.
here?
Sorry, go ahead,
Because
go
it
ahead.
sounds like you want to start the alarm clock, which is going to be what disanalogous to what the beginningless series is.
No. It's
So
nothing
let's-
to do with the alarm
let's-
clock. The alarm
Let's
clock.
do
right?
away with the disanalogy from the outset. If the alarm clock was always wounded for an infinite amount of time to have passed, I don't see why the alarm clock couldn't have rung today.
No, exactly. It could not have rung today, right? So it could not
No.
have gotten to the end.
No,
You
he
misheard
said-
what I
he-
said.
He said he
You misheard
doesn't-
what I said.
Yeah,
I don't see why it couldn't have rung today.
No. Don't take this out of context, right? We're not talking about like a alarm clock you have to wind up, right? Just says alarm clock go. It's a digital alarm. Imagine a digital alarm clock. Alarm clock go. Waited an infinite amount of years. After an infinite amount of years, we get to 10, 9, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we get to 2026.
You did the thing again.
You did it
the,
again.
What did I do?
You did the thing where you started the alarm clock, which is why I answered the way that I did.
Yes.
You can't start.
Exactly.
You're assuming
You
the
need to start.
falsity. Listen, brother, man. You assume the falsity of the view
so bad at this.
when you use that type of language. It's beginningless, so you don't start.
Yes.
It has always been, brother, man.
How do you
No,
not? But how do? By the way, how seriously?
You almost-
how do
you
you?
almost
How does
got
your
it.
brain not get this? I really am like it's.
No,
it's
I
like
No,
just-
don't insult. No, Rockstar's actually getting it. I'm trying to.
No.
We're
In
telling you the
infinite-
same
I've
thing.
read
We've been
so much
fucking telling you,
material
you
on this.
idiot.
You have no idea.
Nothing has changed. You fucking.
Like I said, how
moron.
long? I'm trying to think of another way to explain this. It's the alarm clock is set and it says go off after an infinite amount of years, right?
But you can't start. You can't
No,
start. the
don't
alarm
even think
clock.
about starting. The alarm clock needs to go after wait an infinite amount of years, right? Don't
And
even think about it has to
and,
start.
and the alarm clock has always been waiting, right?
Yeah, it's always been waiting, right? And it says after an infinite amount of years, go
So
off.
what's the contradiction that the alarm rings right now?
Well, it has to wait an infinite amount. It hasn't waited an infinite amount of years. It hasn't.
It
completed.
has.
No, it hasn't.
It has. It has always been waiting, brother.
Yes, it has always been waiting,
Uh-huh.
right? And it's still waiting because always is at all points in time, right? It's still
No,
waiting.
that's I'm not talking about it's waiting like past and it's waiting in the future. I mean the beginningless past so if you look at all prior events, right? And every event has an antecedent event. For each of those events, this clock has been waiting. And then we just keep doing that over and over and over again, right? Ad infinitum, right? If it has always been waiting, meaning at every single like historical temporal point, the clock has been waiting. What's the contradiction that it rings right now?
Because it's still going to be waiting. It needs to wait an infinite amount of
No,
time.
it doesn't need to wait.
Yes, it does.
Wait, what?
This fucking guy, man.
I asked you I asked you how long does this alarm clock? How many years, right? Does this alarm clock needs to finish, right? And you said infinite, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So will it ever finish getting to an infinite amount of years?
Yes, because
No,
today's
it
the
won't.
endpoint. Yes,
It will not.
today's the endpoint.
No,
You could-
no.
you could-
It's not
What's
about the
the
endpoint.
problem?
If the
What's
series in
problem?
question
It's
has
not
an
about the
end, I don't
endpoint.
see a contradiction that it ends. But if it's endless, I can see where there's the
Yes,
contradiction.
and that's
Sure.
what infinite means. It means endless.
No, you're. I can't
Oh
believe
my
you said
God,
that.
he's
Shame
in
on
this
you.
in this context.
I know
infinite
he's
is endless.
dude. It like
Shame on
I've
you.
never been pained
How
by
long?
listening.
Okay, J Mike,
never
you're
been
obviously like me. Then
pained
get off the panel. J Mike, why are you still on the panel?
because it's like a car crash you can't look away from.
Well, you get off because you're just
I
not
can't.
understanding it.
I can't. Like my neighbor's telling me to get the fuck off the lawn, go
Well,
back
maybe you should
inside. And I'm
listen
like,
to him because
I
you're not
can't.
actually
I gotta
adding anything
keep
important.
watching. How do I leave
No,
this
Rockstar actually got it.
scenario?
Rockstar actually got it. He was so
how do I
close.
just walk inside
He was
and make
actually
a
so
sandwich?
close.
I can't
Okay.
fucking do it.
Alarm clock go off. Alarm clock
Can I-
wait an
can I
infinite
try-
amount of years, right?
Hey, can
if
I
I said
try
alarm
to-
clock go after 10 years, no problem. Alarm clock go
Well,
after
there's
20
no
years,
trying.
explain
no
that?
problem.
There's no
Alarm
trying.
clock wait an infinite amount of years. You'd be sitting there, waiting
Can I
waiting
try to ex-
unending
can I
amount
try
of
to
time.
explain this to this guy? I just
Right?
Servet or whatever
So,
your
so
name
you got it
is.
right, Rockstar?
No, because the thing that you just described in your hypothetical is the beginning of a series, and that's like it's no longer addressing the view anymore. Every
No,
time
because
you
it's
do
analogous to not having a
you're-
beginning. Because
it's not analogous
unending.
because the disanalogy, sorry, excuse me. The disanalogy is the beginningless aspect of it. You don't have that crucial component to it.
Well, now we're not talking about beginnings. It's part of it, but we're not even talking about beginnings right now.
No,
the point here,
brother, man. That's the most important aspect because when you don't attack that component of the theory, you're no longer talking about the theory in question. Now you're just talking about an endless series.
No.
Who cares about an endless series? That's not a beginningless
exact
one.
semantics and mechanics of an alarm clock, right? It's about
Hold on.
waiting
I
an
think-
unending amount of time.
I think we can clear this up with an analogy. Hold on, Serven or whatever your name is. How many negative numbers are there before zero?
Oh my gosh, there's an infinite amount. But Ogar, I was on your live again. You got mad at me and you kicked me off your live, and I answered this exact question.
Let's not do the meta.
Okay.
Let's
The
just
problem with your analogy
hold on.
is that
stop.
numbers are
Let's not
abstract.
do the meta. Like,
Hold on.
Just
So-
look. Just have a conversation with him real
Okay.
quick.
So there's an infinite amount of numbers before negative numbers before zero, right?
Yes, but numbers are abstract. But go
Okay.
ahead.
And how
That's
many negative
tangential.
numbers are there before -1?
An infinite amount.
Okay. And how many negative numbers are there before -1,000,000?
An infinite amount.
Okay, so that means that no matter whatever negative number we pick, there's always going to be an infinite number of negative numbers prior to it, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So what that means is that if there was a beginningless past, if we said how many moments have there been before now, it'll always be an infinite number, and literally any point in time that we go to in the past, if we ask that same question, how many moments have there been prior to this moment, it would always be an infinite number no matter how far back you go. What that means is in the alarm clock analogy, literally any point in time that you point to, that alarm clock will have already been waiting an infinite amount of time, no matter where you go.
Yeah,
So
well,
if you're saying, hold on, so if you're saying the alarm clock can't wait an infinite amount of time, then you're contradicting yourself in the answers that you just gave about the negative numbers. So what we're saying is literally any moment in time that you point to, the alarm clock has been waiting an infinite amount of time. So obviously it is possible for it to wait an infinite amount of time.
No, but that's the whole problem. The whole problem is, I mean, I see what you're saying, but the whole problem is that there's no start, right? Like, okay,
Oh my
the alarm
god!
clock
Are you
analogy is kind
kidding
of,
me?
thing.
Oh my
the alarm
god!
clock, no,
This guy can't be
no,
real.
the alarm
He
clock
cannot be a real
analogy is
person.
kind of off because
He cannot be a real fucking person. There's
no,
no
the alarm
way.
clock analogy.
This is
it's
obviously
not about
trolling.
not
Like, this
starting.
has to be trolling.
The alarm
If
clock
he's a
analogy
troll,
was to show
he
that
is
you
the
can't get to
greatest
infinite amount of time.
troll of all time. The greatest, like fucking legendary
No.
troll, dude. Legendary.
I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to see how I explain this. No, I see what Olgar was saying, but that's exactly the point with something not having started,
This
right?
is so bad.
Like the alarm
really
clock
saying-
analogy was not about the beginning.
So
The alarm
glad I
clock
came out
analogy
of
was to show
retirement
that
today.
if
No,
you have
what
an
you're
infinite
saying,
amount of time,
Servant,
you
what
cannot
you
get
tried
through
to
it,
say, Servant,
right?
is that it couldn't, hold on, what you tried to say is that it couldn't, you're trying to say that it couldn't wait an infinite amount of time, and then you agreed that at any point in time, it has already waited an infinite amount of time. So we
Yeah,
could go
no.
back, trillions and trillions of moments into the past, and that alarm clock would already have been waiting an infinite amount of time. So literally, it's not like, not only is it possible for the alarm clock to have waited an infinite amount of time, in the example we're giving you, it's not possible for there to be a moment where it hasn't waited in an infinite amount of time.
Exactly.
So literally, not only is your claim of this isn't possible wrong, it's literally the only possibility.
No, I was just trying to explain to you, because there's no other way to explain to these guys. No, Ogre, I see what you're saying. The problem is that with the alarm clock, yes, there's a start, right? But I was trying to show how
There
an
isn't a
infinite
start.
alarm clock would show.
The whole point is that there isn't a start.
Unending.
The whole point is that there isn't a start. That's the point.
No,
So
but
you're
not
trying
a
to add a
start.
start, as
I mean,
Ruxter
no,
and J-Mike have already explained to you. When you add a start, you make the analogy disanalogous. So if you want this analogy to work, stop. If you want this analogy to work, you can't add the beginning. But as soon as you take the beginning away, you realize it must have been waiting an infinite amount of time. At any moment you can check.
No,
Any
okay, so I understand my alarm
it's
clock
been
analogy
waiting, it's
has
going
a
to be
beginning.
infinite.
I understand my alarm clock analogy has a beginning, but that was the point
that's
of it.
disanalogous. That's the problem.
No.
Your alarm clock, if you add a beginning to your analogy, then it no longer has anything to do with the
No,
topic
it
we're
does.
discussing.
It does.
No,
because
it
the alarm
doesn't.
clock analogy has a beginning, but the alarm clock analogy was to show that you cannot get through an infinite amount of years. Yes, an alarm clock has a beginning.
No. It
do you
only shows
understand
you
the
that,
difference?
It only
Hold on.
shows you. One second. It only shows you that you can only traverse one type of infinity. You know what that one is? An endless one. An endless one, but it has no bearing on whether or not you can cross. It has no bearing on whether you can cross a beginningless one, right? You're doing the invalid inference thing. Just because it's true for one directionality of a regress, it doesn't mean that it's true for the other one.
Yes, it is, because that's how
the
time
difference?
works.
No,
guys,
no.
You understand the difference between
I'm
endless and
taking
beginningless?
Because
I'm
alarm
taking this
clock,
recording, by the way, and I'm
has
going
a
to add a
beginning, right?
I'm going to
So
add
alarm
a
clock has a
counter.
beginning, but
I'm
that
gonna
was the
add a
point that I was trying to
every
show.
time he
I
does
was trying to
this.
show that an
I'm going to add a
traversing
counter
an
every time he
infinite amount
does
of
this and go,
time
how many
is not
times can he
possible,
do
right?
this until the end of the video? And it's going to be an infinite amount of times.
I mean, it might be at this point because you guys are just not understanding. No, Olgar, I see what Olgar was saying. The problem was that my alarm clock analogy, yes, it had a beginning. But when I got to Rockstar to admit that how long does it take to traverse an infinite amount of years, I was trying to make the point that if you set an alarm clock for an infinite amount of years, you would never get to today. So I understand the alarm clock by itself. Yes, semantics alarm clock has a beginning. But the point was that once Rockstar admitted that something doesn't have a start and you have to wait an infinite amount of years, you will never get to the end. And that's what the alarm clock analogy comes into play.
The reason why you're saying that is because you equate infinity with endless every single fucking time.
It is. It is in this yes, because it is in this context.
No, it's
not.
Either
endless or beginningless.
Yes, brother, it can be beginningless.
We already went over the semantics from the very fucking outset. No, it's not. It's not. Infinity doesn't mean endless in this case.
What is the beginning?
No, yes, it does. There's a bijection between the fucking members of the set and the natural numbers, dog. That's what infinity means in this case.
Servant, you understand? You already agreed. You already agreed that there are infinite negative numbers before zero, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you agree that the infinite numbers end at zero, right? Or excuse me, the infinite negative numbers end at zero, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're agreeing that there can be an infinite series that has an ending, right?
Infinite series, that's abstract. Yes, that is abstract. Sure.
Okay, so you're agreeing that an infinite series can have an ending, right?
Infinite series can have an ending?
I'm simpliciter.
Yes.
We're just talking about an infinite series. Is it possible for an infinite series to have an ending?
Yeah, infinite series to have an ending in abstract, yeah.
That you keep adding. I'm asking simpliciter, is it possible for an infinite series to have an ending?
I want to make sure we add the point that it's abstract, but yes.
No, don't add that. You're adding to what I'm asking you. If the answer is no, just say no. Is it possible for an infinite series simpliciter to have an ending?
The answer is yes.
Okay, fantastic. So if we say that it is possible for an infinite series to have an ending, then that would mean if it was possible for the past to be infinite, then an infinite past could have an ending, right?
No. Again, that's why
this is a conditional. This is a conditional.
That's why
if an infinite past was possible, it would be possible for that infinite past to have an ending, right?
No, because I want to make sure.
I mean, if you don't even know what a conditional is and how to engage with a conditional, I don't know what to tell you.
No, because that's why I made the point. I said it's abstract. Time's not abstract. That's all I want to add.
Yeah, but I just said, do you understand what a conditional is, right?
A conditional? Yeah, you're setting a condition.
Do you know what a conditional is?
If I have sex with your mom, then her vagina's real wet.
Yeah, like a condition. If something happens, something else happened. Yeah.
Right. So if it was possible, I'm not asking you to grant that an infinite past is possible. I'm just saying if it were possible for the past to be infinite, then that would mean that it would also be possible for an infinite past to have an ending.
See, I want to be careful how I answer this because time, again, when you say past, you're referring to time.
Hold on. I'm not asking you to grant an infinite past. I'm asking you that if an infinite past were possible, it would then also be possible for that infinite series to have an ending, just like the negative numbers have an ending, right?
It's not nomologically possible, but metaphysically, sure. Metaphysically, sure. I want to make sure you don't misquote me later, but sure.
Okay, what all I'm saying is that if it was possible that the past was infinite, that infinite series could have an ending, just like other infinite series can have endings, right?
I suppose infinite past is not possible.
Okay, fantastic.
But
so
sure.
here's the issue now. Here's the issue now. So now that you agree that the conditional, if the past was infinite, that series could have an ending, you agree that conditional is true, so you have to show why the antecedent can't be true without negating that conditional.
Antecedent is true without negating the conditional?
No, your job in this dialectic now that you've agreed to that conditional is to show that the antecedent, an infinite past, you have to show that an infinite past is impossible without negating the conditional that if an infinite past were possible, it could have an ending.
Well, again, that's why I made the point. I want to make sure you don't misquote me. I said an infinite past nomologically is not possible. Okay, I guarantee.
I agree. I understand. I never asked you to concede that. Now I'm trying to. I don't know. I held your hand. I walked you through like a fucking kindergartner.
You didn't have to. No, you didn't have to do that. I answered all your questions. That's why I wanted to make sure when I answered your questions, I answered it with make sure we understand the same modality.
You agreed to the conditional, and you're saying the reason the conditional is you're saying the conditional is true, but it's not relevant because the antecedent is false. And I'm saying, great. Now that we agree the conditional is true, you have to show the antecedent is false without negating the conditional you already agreed to.
Well, I agreed your conditional is only true under metaphysical modality, right?
I understand that. And now what you have to do is show why there's a problem.
God, we're just like using like philosophical nomenclature very loosely.
That's why I want to make sure I answered Ogar's question precisely, right? Because I didn't want him to come back and say, okay, now you have this, now you admitted this, now you have to show this, right? You said if an infinite past is possible, it's not.
I never asked you to grant an infinite past.
Wait, the only claim on the table is that infinite series is nomologically impossible, but yet we're giving like successive addition arguments. I'm so confused.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's been moving on from like, oh, you can't traverse an actual infinite, so then like he tries to demonstrate why.
We were so close with Ruckster. I mean, I don't know where we went off, but
you were not close with Ruckster. I don't think you understood like the.
Yeah, no, I asked Ruckster how long would it take. He said an infinite amount of years, right? And then I gave the alarm clock analogy, and I guess you guys took it in the wrong way. I understand where you're coming from, right? Because alarm clock is a start, but the point was to illustrate that if you have an infinite amount of years, you cannot finish it.
I think saying that we took it the wrong way and you understand where we're coming from sounds like you understand what the disanalogy is.
Yeah, because when I gave the alarm clock analogy, I see where you're saying the alarm clock has a beginning. But that was the point. We were past the point of no beginning.
Yeah, so then why don't you provide another like hypothetical where like the thing in question is beginningless?
Sorry, say it again.
Yeah, why don't you do another like hypothetical similar to the alarm clock, or it could be something else that like that's like has like a beginning.
Okay, sure.
Give your water drinking. Give the water.
So if I have, if I have a glass of water that's 10 feet away from me, right? I can take 10 steps, right, and get to the water, right?
Did you start?
Well, yeah, I was 10 feet away from the water, and I started. No, I'm getting to my point. Yes, this positive.
Don't laugh, Ruckster.
I'm getting to my point. Holy shit! Will you shut up? No, J Mike talking. J Mike,
I'm trying to help you.
Wait, guys.
I'm trying to help you. Don't laugh because he's really close.
Wait, guys, let him get to his point.
Okay, so 10 feet away, I can get to it, right? If I started 20 feet away, can I get to it?
Yeah.
Yes, I can. If I started, here's the thing. If I say I'm an infinite amount of steps away, don't take this any kind of like complex, metaphysical. If I'm if I'm an infinite amount of steps from this cup of water, will I ever get to it?
It sounds like if you're infinite steps away, you're still starting somewhere, right? Like
no,
it's
not.
There's
it's analogous.
Infinite distance between you.
Analogous to not starting. That's the point.
Oh, so you're not starting.
Correct, because I'm an infinite amount of steps away.
Towards it?
It's the same thing.
And you were always walking, right?
Yeah, I'm an infinite amount of steps. I need to cover an infinite amount of distance to get to my water.
Yeah, if
right?
you've always been walking, I don't see why you couldn't reach the water.
Because I will never finish an infinite amount of steps. It's like an infinite amount of time, right?
Right. That's what. Wait, hold on. Right. That's what's in question. Why would we think that?
Yeah.
Because I need to get to an infinite amount of steps. I need to finish.
Right, but you're right.
infinite.
No, we agree on that. We agree that there's an infinite amount of steps, but you're saying we couldn't complete it. Why would we think that?
Because I need to finish infinite. Can I finish?
Okay.
It doesn't matter how long I've been walking.
We agree with
we
that.
agree on that. So why wouldn't you be able to finish it?
Because that's the definition of infinite. It's unending.
Amdir.
No, Amdir, keep at. Just keep.
Do you guys get it?
Filling the point.
So in this case, wait, hold on. In this case, it's ending. The ending point is the glass of water.
Yes,
why
the ending
wouldn't
point
we be
is the
able to
glass of
finish
water.
it?
But to get to that end point, I need to finish an infinite amount of steps. So there's a contradiction, right?
No, we agree about that, but why couldn't you finish the infinite amount of steps?
Because infinite means unending, right?
Well, no, in this case, you already stipulated that it's not unending because we're
That's the
reaching the
contradiction.
glass of water is the end point, right?
Well, that's the contradiction.
So the contradiction is that you're
changing
confused
what I said earlier.
The contradiction is that you're like confused about what type of series we're talking about, right? Because you're
What do you
talking
mean
about
contradiction is I try to give you another analogy.
The ironic part, Amdir, is the contradiction is that he contradicts the series at which.
Well, no, I want to try and like. But I want to try and like good faith here to talk about this. So you're saying that by definition, infinite means unending, but clearly
in this context,
infinite doesn't. Clearly, there's multiple types of infinite series, and the type that you're asking us about, where there's no starting point, but we're walking infinitely towards a glass of water, is not the type of infinite that doesn't have an ending point. It's the type that doesn't have a beginning point, because you've stipulated the ending point is where the glass of water is, and the beginning point.
Look, it's really the same thing. End or you can structure it either way. End or beginning. In either way, I need to finish an unending amount of steps to get to my water, right?
Well, no,
it's the same as not having a beginning.
Sorry, if the dimension is directional, so like time or something, then they're not the same thing, right? So one is a beginningless and one is an endless one. If you're saying there's symmetry between the two, that would need to be argued for, but that would require a separate argument.
It's the same thing.
He is saying that. He is saying that. Yes, he's saying that.
Yeah, but if there's symmetry between the beginningless and the endless series, that requires a separate argument, right?
No, it's either way. It's just unending. The whole point is it's unending. You could say beginningless or endless. The whole point, it's either way. It's endless, right? It's an unending amount of steps that I have to take, right?
Asymmetric operators, right? So there's like the greater than sign is different than the equal sign in the fact that the greater than sign only works in one direction. It doesn't work in either direction.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but that's not analogous to the argument. I mean, guys, the argument is really simple. I don't understand.
He's trying to. He's
No,
trying to show
MDR,
you
go
that
ahead. I don't want to be disrespectful, of course.
He's trying to demonstrate the disanalogy between the two series in question, buddy.
And just listen to him before you like shoot your load.
No, I am. I'm listening to him, and I'm saying I don't think it's analogous. But go ahead. You can continue.
No, the point is that for these types of operators that are just to put it simply, one directional. If you're saying that there's symmetry, between series where every number is, I'm just using greater than because it's a simpler example than time, or like every number is greater than the other number versus a series where every number is smaller than the other number. If you're saying there's symmetry between the two series, there needs to be a separate argument for that. And since time is kind of a bi-directional type of series, it's similar in the case that if you're saying there's symmetry between the two cases, you need a separate argument to show that.
Sure. So, I mean, let me explain it like this. If I need to walk an infinite amount of steps, right, where's my starting point?
Well, you stipulated that there wasn't a starting point, right? But
Yeah,
that there was
exactly.
an end point.
That's exactly right. There is no starting point, so I'll never start. They're two the same thing.
We agree on that fact that you didn't start, but you're saying that therefore you couldn't finish. Why would we believe that? What's the argument for that?
Because you haven't started again.
Yeah, that's what we're asking the argument for. Why, if you haven't started, therefore you couldn't finish. Why would we believe that?
Did you hear what you just said? If you said this to any 5-year-old,
I went down this route already,
but If you haven't started, how can you finish?
And I went down this route.
I didn't start a book, so how can I finish it? I didn't start a race. I didn't start a marathon. How can I finish
it? I mean, asking that question really isn't to provide an argument for if you didn't start, therefore you can't finish, you know.
Right.
You can ask me, how could you finish? But even if I suppose that I couldn't answer that question, how does that establish that your claim is true? That if you haven't started, therefore you couldn't finish, you know?
Is that not self-explanatory? You haven't started, you can't finish? Can you finish anything you haven't started?
We wouldn't be having this discussion right now.
Well, that's the whole point. That's what I'm trying to get across to these guys, is that if you haven't started something, you cannot finish it. It's analogous to an infinite set.
You're just kind of asserting that over and over again.
Yeah, because these guys aren't getting it. I'm trying to find a way to explain to these guys.
No, but that's the thing in question. We want substantiation for that. And the way to substantiate that claim isn't to like reassert the claim.
Remember when I said
I don't understand how you guys can think you can finish something without starting it.
CRV, remember when I said a billboard on I-85 for question begging? You remember when I said that like an hour ago?
I don't understand how it's question begging to say that you cannot finish something you haven't started it. I don't understand. This is common sense to me. I'm saying non-logical law. I'm saying explain to me the contrapositive. I get nothing, right?
No,
well, it's just question begging. Well, I don't have to answer your question. You're burden shifting. Well, show me.
You
don't show me something that you finished without starting.
Possible.
Is this just an appeal to intuition? Like, I think it's common sense that if you haven't started something, I can't finish it.
Okay, if it's not common sense, somebody on this panel, give me an example of something that can be finished without started.
So wait, hold on.
Give me an example of something you can finish without starting.
I'm asking, is it just an appeal to intuition? When you're saying it's common sense, is that what you mean? It's intuitive to you that you can't finish. Okay. But then,
my argument by itself was, had multiple parts.
But if I don't share the intuition, what reason is there for me to believe that?
Yeah, like why would Amdir be compelled by your intuitions? It's just weird.
Because can you prove the contrapositive to be true?
Can you actually defend the view that you can't traverse such a series?
I am.
Let's just say that I can't. Wait, let's just say that I can't.
Give me a counterexample.
Wait, let's just say that I can't. Wait, let's just say that I can't give a counterexample, but I just have the opposite intuition as you. But why should your intuition be privileged over mine?
I'm sorry, how do you have an opposite intuition? Then I just can't argue this further. How can you have an opposite intuition and say I can finish something I haven't started?
I'm glad you finally admitted you can't argue the point beyond your intuition of the facts.
I mean, I argued about 55 different ways. You guys just don't get it. I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful, but
no,
it's like,
look, you have an intuition.
Well, just to be clear, when you say we just don't get it, what you mean is that we don't share your intuition.
Okay, if you don't share my intuition, let me ask you this. Can I finish a book without starting it?
Sure, if you've been reading it for all time.
No. See,
what's the problem
that's
if you've
possible.
always
You
been reading?
Is that really
what's
your
the
intuition?
problem?
Yeah, and when you and just to be clear, when you say no, you can't, that's not possible, you're just saying that's your intuition that it's not possible. But
exactly.
why should I accept that over my intuition that it is
Because I just asked you about your intuition, and you said because I've always been reading a book, and that's not possible.
Yeah. No, his intuition is that
what's
that somebody could have always been reading the book. There's no problem with that.
Wait, but
so if I came to you and I said I've always been reading this book for all points in time,
but he's saying it's not possible.
Like, what about you? We know
what's
that.
The impossibility.
Yes.
Are you?
You're saying
it's impossible? Are you intuitioning again?
Hold on. This guy is saying it's not possible for you to finish the book that you haven't started reading because
you
it's common sense.
You haven't started.
It's common sense that you can't finish something you haven't started. But what it means to be common sense is just that it's intuitive to him. But it's intuitive to me that you could finish something you haven't started if you've been reading it infinitely. So why should we prefer your intuition that you can't finish something you haven't started over my intuition that you can finish
because
something
is it your intuition that someone can have been reading a book at all time? Is that your intuition?
My intuition is that you can finish a book that you haven't started reading if you've been reading it infinitely.
Yeah, it's like not a problem if there's been like a god who's always been reading a book or some being, a celestial being that's always been reading. What's the problem? They've always been reading, or they've always been giving praises to gods forever. They've always just been praising God forever.
So I came to you. I said I've been reading this book infinitely. That would be your intuition to say that.
Do you think there's a problem with like?
Okay, then if you think I can be always at all points in time been reading a book, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, maybe this is where he closes because
Let
I
me
just
ask
cannot,
you this.
there's
Let
no
me ask, no, don't
nothing
close it
further.
out.
This is rock
Well,
bottom.
it just sounds like then there's nothing you can say to motivate people that don't already agree with you.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, maybe I'll just finish with this. If you think you can finish a book that you've always been reading infinitely at all points in time, then I cannot argue that.
Let me ask you
Yeah,
this.
so in other words, there's nothing you can say to motivate people that don't already agree with
I mean,
you.
it depends who those people are. You guys apparently know. I mean, you guys think you can apparently finish a book you haven't started. I cannot motivate that further
I think that's the most honest you've been. But let me ask you. I'm actually just curious
because I've been trying to do this for a while. But go ahead.
No, I actually commend you. I think that.
I'm kind of done. I'm pretty satisfied with where that conversation
Yeah,
went.
I agree. I think that was pretty, and I commend you on being honest with Amir on that. But I do have to ask you before you go.
Sorry, who's talking?
Mike.
Mike. Okay.
Do you think like an angel could have? I don't know if you believe in Allah or Yahweh, but let's say are you Muslim?
I believe in God. I'll tell you that.
Let's just say God. Do you think it's possible for like an angel to have like always been praising God?
Well, then it's metaphysical. Then that's outside of laws of physics. So we don't know.
Well, I'm just saying,
that would be
never started praising God. It's always been praising God, and like right now is the present moment. We got to the present moment, and it's praising God.
Well, no. To answer your question, physical universe, no.
Physically, I'm just asking you think it's possible. I'm not asking for if there's a physical modality at play.
Well, I want to be clear. Physically, no. The answer to the question is no. Physically, metaphysically, we don't know. The point is, I mean, I didn't get to that part of the proof, but I mean, it's okay if you guys don't understand it. I mean, if I can't motivate this further, it's okay.
Well, hold on. Just to be clear, the type of argument that you're giving isn't an argument for physical possibility. You're pointing out absurdities with the types of counting sequences. That's not a question. Like, the types of counting sequences isn't a question of physics. It's a question of metaphysics or logic.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking about physics, right? I mean, going back to my point when I started.
I don't understand how that's salient to what I was saying. I think Amdir.
Wait, sorry, J. Mike. Ask your question again. If I didn't answer,
yeah, like, do you think it's? I'm just wondering on your view. Like, there's an angel or some celestial being, and it's just always been praising God. Like, that's possible. Like when we got to, like in this moment right now, it's praising God, and that's the present moment. That's the end point.
No, my answer is no.
Okay, I just was curious. Just see if you were, if like I put it in a framework, maybe you are more familiar with. If that,
or he's like a framework he's more sympathetic to, or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, you can go about if you mean always at all points in time. No, if you imply that time has a beginning. Then yes.
Ontologically prior, it's always been doing it. I mean, it could be non-metric time. I mean, I don't really see what the bearing on like.
So I mean, no, I'll just answer your question honestly. If you by always you mean from a starting point in time to now, yes, because it implies that time is a starting point. So the answer would be yes, right? If you're saying infinitely physically, no. Then because I want to make sure in this context, always you have to be careful how you define it.
Not sure I understand your response. Maybe someone else here does.
If you mean time is infinite, my answer is no. If time is finite, has a starting point, then the answer is yes. I just want to make sure I understood when you say always.
I mean, like God's always existed in your view, right?
So when you say always,
he didn't begin to exist, and we're at a present moment. There's no problem there, right?
Oh yeah. So I mean, this would go, if you want me to actually tell about how my proof about God came about, it's that God is metaphysical. Everything we talk about is physical, right? All these things we've been discussing about time being infinite, blah, 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 this is all physical, right? So God would be metaphysical.
Then if you think there's some physical or nomological impossibility, like you're not satisfying that by just reporting to me you have an intuition that can't be
my issue with all of this is not the intuition stuff. Fine, we're at an impasse there. But the type of proof that you're giving or that you're attempting to give for the impossibility of a finite past is not scoped to physical possibility. I don't know why we're trying to scope it to only physical possibility here.
Well, because I mean, the start of my proof was that my proof summarizes basically that the universe cannot come by laws of physics itself. Therefore, there must be some kind of metaphysical being that put the universe into existence. That would be my overall statement of how we know that God exists. Right. So
suppose I agree with you. Like,
sure.
There's a metaphysics. There's an absurdity. There's just an absurdity entailed by finishing a count that doesn't have a beginning. Well,
Yeah.
counts that don't have a beginning is going to be something that's metaphysically or logically held fixed, just based on the nature of the way the sequences are ordered or certain facts about mathematics. It's not like the way that those sequences are ordered doesn't depend on any physical law. So if there's an absurdity in the way the sequences are ordered, then that's a metaphysical or logical impossibility. It's not a physical impossibility. Why are we trying to scope it to that?
It is a physical impossibility. Because it's just how, again, I'm not sure if I have the exact physical law. I'm not sure if there is an exact outlined law. But the point is, you can have a
I think whatever I'm saying is not being appreciated.
Wait, sorry, I didn't mean to dismiss what you said, Amir.
No, by appreciated, I mean like understood. I don't think it's being understood. Like, what I'm saying is that the nature. So so the nature of count. So the nature of the way that a sequence is ordered does not depend on a physical law. If a sequence is ordered a certain way, that's a fact about mathematics. It's a fact. It's a logical law or a metaphysical law.
Sure. So I want to make sure we understand that time is not just abstract. So you have to be careful when you make the analogy between numbers, right?
Well, no, right now I'm not talking about time.
No, you're not talking about time. You're talking about like the different series in questions, right?
What series? You talking about numbers?
Because right now there's what you're highlighting is an absurdity with ordered series of a certain types, right? It wouldn't be scoped to only time.
What else would there be that you can?
So anything that there's an ordered series. So you might be able to say the same thing about grounding, right? So if grounding is also like a series that has all these same properties, it's asymmetric, transitive, irreflexive, then it's also going to be true of grounding that it's one directional in this same sense as time is. Then the same, whatever absurdity you identify with infinite series of time, you would also have to identify this with certain series of grounding, infinite series of grounding. So it's not just scoped to time. It's any type of series that's like this.
Yeah, that's correct. You can have an infinite amount of anything concrete, any completed infinity. So you can have an infinite amount of books.
Right, but then this isn't a nomological thesis. This is a metaphysical thesis.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I guess you can approach it in either way because it's about what's possible physically. Metaphysically, sure, it's possible, right?
No, you're committed
we live
to
in a
that it's
physical
not,
world.
it's not possible metaphysically.
Amdir, when he says metaphysically, I don't think he means it how we use the term.
Yeah, sorry, I want to be clear about that. When I say metaphysical, I mean anything that's beyond our understanding of, three-dimensional space.
You
and
mean
time.
non-physical, right?
Yeah.
But metaphysical. But I'm not using some robust sense of metaphysical. All I'm saying is minimally what's metaphysically possible involves the set of mathematical truths. That's it.
Oh, what's metaphysically possible involves sets of mathematical truths? I mean, depends on mathematical truths you're talking. I mean, laws of logic, yeah, you cannot break laws of logic, but I think you'd have to explain a little bit more.
Well, Amdir's trying to say that like you objecting to like the beginningless series thing, it's going to be like some sort of like metaphysical impossibility. Like you're objecting to some, you're saying there's like some violations and some like metaphysical truths or something like that.
Well, I meant it in a physical way, right? Metaphysically, we don't know, but that's what I was arguing about. It's physical modality, right? I mean, I guess it'd be nomological, but physical, it's like kind of the same way, right?
But these series in questions don't have to do with like physicality. They're like these sort of metaphysical principles that underpin these sorts of things. It's not like it's not like natural laws that are like dictating like series, right? Like
it's not physical laws that are over and above the types of series of things that are ordered, right? It's not physical theories that drives what grounds what, or
I think it is
what composes what, or what causes what, or what comes before what. I mean, some of this might be grounded by physical theories, but the nature of it is a metaphysical question. And at least the mathematical facts at play are a physical question, which is that for series that are irreflexive, asymmetric, and transitive, that they can't go on infinitely in the past. At least that has to be.
Yeah, I think we're using
something.
this word metaphysical differently. Yes, there are metaphysical questions. Metaphysical is basically like how things are, right? So in that sense, what I was talking about metaphysical, I meant like metaphysical modality. That's kind of what I meant it as in like you can go beyond the scope of what's physically possible. So that's what I meant metaphysical.
And that's the same way that I'm using it. I'm just saying, like, without getting committed to some robust view on metaphysical possibility, minimally what is included there is mathematical fact. So if there's absurdity with sequences ordered in a certain way, that's going to be metaphysically impossible, right? If there's something that is absurd with sequences such that it renders them impossible, then it renders them metaphysically impossible.
Metaphysically, you're saying like the number 10 can come after the number like 300?
If there can't be beginningless series or endless series because of some absurdity with the nature of those series, then it's metaphysically impossible. The natures of those series doesn't depend on any physical law.
I think it does, right? I mean, it depends what kind of, are you talking about math, like mathematical series or like?
Yes.
Oh yeah, so well, I mean, mathematics you have to be, because mathematics is just invented, right, by humans. There's nothing metaphysical about mathematics. I mean, like, it's just
and
language.
he thinks when he's saying, using the term metaphysical, he's saying like something with like a different ontology that's not physical. Like that's how he's using the term.
I get that, but minimally, if something minimally if something is not allowed in virtue of the mathematical structure. Not saying that it's like not allowed in mathematics. Sure, mathematics might be non-physical. But if something's impossible in virtue of its mathematical structure, surely then it's metaphysically impossible.
No. So you mean by like mathematically, like breaking laws of physics, right? So G equals 9.8, whatever. If G is all of a sudden calculated to be 300, right? That would be metaphysically possible, not physically possible. Am I getting there? I don't know.
Conversation, but I don't know if it's really worth continuing.
I don't. He's using Amber. He's not using like.
Wait, Andrew, maybe give me an example. I don't know. I mean, but to answer your question, no. I mean,
yeah. I'm trying to think. Let me.
If you break the laws of physics, that's metaphysically that can be metaphysically possible, right?
I agree about that. If it breaks the laws of physics, it's nomologically impossible.
Correct.
But
yeah.
if it's, what I'm saying is that whatever account of metaphysics you have, if something is impossible in virtue of its mathematical structure, so like if it's impossible because it's a beginningless series, or if it's impossible because it's irreflective, like surely that's something that's metaphysically impossible.
No. So you have to be more. You have to be specific in terms of how you use those terms. As in, like when you say a series, right? Do you mean just an abstract series, like natural numbers, or do you mean a series of events? Or you have to be
a series of something. It can be a series. I'm leaving it vague on purpose, right? It could be a series of grounding. It could be a series of time. It could be a series of composition.
Well, those are different things. You have to. I mean, an abstract series, you can say whatever you want, right? An abstract series.
But since your argument would rule all of these things out, it seems like there's some greater metaphysical constraint on the way things are.
It sounds like depending on like the ontology of like the elements in the series in question will determine if it's possible or not. I think that's what he's saying. So if it's like temporal events or like physical objects, that it's impossible. But if like the things aren't physical, then for some reason that impossibility is like remedied. But the thing is like the thing that you're appealing to is the structure of the given ordered series in question. And so it shouldn't matter what the items are in the series, right? Because there's something erroneous with the structure. That's what Amdir's trying to tell you. Unless he can correct me on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I think I kind of get you, but I mean, I don't know. Again, it's like if you have a series. I mean, again, you're talking about like abstract. You said you left it empty on purpose, but it's abstract or concrete. There's a difference between like, for example, an abstract series, you can say whatever you want. Math doesn't even like. it's even like a physical thing, right? Nothing physical about math. So you're saying the way that we order these things
Like
is
he's
like
almost
metaphysically
getting it.
impossible. Can you give me an example, maybe?
No,
Um,
it's not something where we like, okay, so here's, I don't want to give like an example per se, but like, it's the only thing that I could say to you is that,
well, I was gonna say that like composition might be a good example, right? So if A is composed of B and C, but B is composed of C and D, and so on and so forth, in some sort of infinite beginningless series, presumably this argument would rule that out, even if the composition was non-physical. Like maybe
yes.
the abstract
No,
form of goodness is composed of the abstract form of like righteousness and wisdom, and wisdom is constructed of bravery, and and so on and so forth. Even these sorts of structures would be ruled out by this kind of argument.
No, sorry. So my argument again is about concrete things, right? And you say A is composed of B and C, whatever. You can say whatever you want, like abstractly, right? My argument doesn't rule out any of that. My argument is only about physical, concrete things. So if you're talking about numbers or A is composed of B and
But
C,
you can just very easily construct all the same scenarios that you're saying are absurd to rule out a past time in order to rule out these types of series. So say that there's
no, I see the
one
problem.
one man which corresponds to each thing that composes another thing, and that man is going to, at the same time, list the thing that composes the other thing. You would say, well, there's no one can start listing the first thing, so this series couldn't be, right? You can give the same sort of symmetrical reasoning.
Yeah. So I think I understand what you're saying. I just want to be clear. So anything that's real and concrete and in the real world, made of atoms or time, anything that we can all see, yes, it rules us out. It rules it out. Anything about abstract things that are mathematical, no, my argument has nothing to do with that.
But I guess like the question is, what's the relationship between like these things that abide by like natural laws with them not being able to be in this like sequentially ordered series? Because it seems like as soon as those items become physical, now it becomes impossible.
Correct.
And it feels like really arbitrary. So like what's the thing that's explaining why, like, if we just put like non-physical things in this like ordered series, it's possible, right? But if they are physical for some reason, it's impossible. What's like the symmetry breaker between that? Well,
because the things that are non-physical are just abstract. For example, I can imagine a set of unicorns and dragons, right? That are just like abstract, and I can put them in a set, right? This is all abstract, right? So my argument, has nothing to do with these things. My argument has to do with real, concrete things in our real world.
You have to understand that's actually not an answer to the question, because all you pretty much just said was like the reason why it's like it's impossible is because, or the reason why non-physical things can be sequentially ordered in this kind of way is because they're non-physical, and that's like not an informative response.
Well, yeah, you can order non-physical things however way you want. My argument has nothing to do with that. My argument is purely based on physical things.
Your argument does have something to do with that, because whatever absurdity is there for the physical things is going to be there for the non-physical things.
Unless you can derive what the symmetry breaker is. What's the difference there?
The difference is because concrete things are real, and this is how we observe physics, right? Whereas abstract things, my argument has nothing to do with abstract. You can order however things you want in your mind, abstractly. You can order them however you want. You can say, I'm going to order a dragon, then a unicorn, and then a dinosaur. You can order them however you want, right? If it's all abstract in your mind, whatever, you can do whatever you want. My argument has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, but like it's also a non-informative response, because it just sounds like the reason why actual things can't be sequenced in this particular order is because they're like actual things.
Yes, that's exactly my argument. My argument is about actual
Amdir,
things.
how do you respond to that though, Amdir? Like this is where I got with him somewhere similar to this last time.
You have to be careful when you do that, Ruxter, though, because he thinks like that there's a point when you do that. I don't think he understands
there is
sarcasm.
Well, I mean, maybe this is again our point of contention, but yeah, I think there's a difference between physical world and the way we observe physics.
You're not substantiating anything. You're just like repeating.
Here's maybe another thing, another way to put this that's like easier to understand. So suppose that you order the abstract things this way. Okay, but now I want to try to transport this explanation to the physical. So instead of we just are ordering abstract things,
sorry to cut you off.
No. Hold on. At least listen to what I'm going to say.
Okay.
So you take this series of, so let's say that we have a series of things that are, abstract, non-physical, and now we say for each of these things in the series, there's a man, and we can even say they all exist at the same time, that are listing each of these things in the series. Your explanation for why what I'm describing is impossible isn't going to be in terms of a physical law, or there are atoms that make up the people, or the number of people. Your objection is going to be in the fact that it's beginningless, the fact that there's not a first thing for the people to reference. That's the point that we're trying to make. It's once we transport this explanation from the metaphysical or the abstract to the physical, your objection is not on anything physical, it's on the structure of the ordering.
Like the reasons why the reasons why it's impossible for the physical still remain when you make them abstract or non-physical or whatever. Like the same kind of reasoning that you're providing.
That's why, again, I want to make the distinction. This is a very important part of the argument. There's a distinction between abstract and non-real things, right? That can go on infinitely. Negative numbers do go on infinitely, right? Prime numbers are infinite. There's no problem with that at all. So that when you say things can go on infinitely, yes, but they have to be abstract. So when you map those things onto the concrete, there's a difference, right? That's the whole point of the argument. So you cannot just take abstract things and map them onto the real world. That's like.
So
that's
when
not
you say
analogous.
abstract,
that's
you
point
just
of
mean
argument.
you just mean not real?
Correct. Yes. Anything that's not real is abstract. So number 7 has no causal power, right? What does number 7 look like? It's not a thing. It's just a tool of language that we use to describe things.
You're not just committed to the things that aren't real, don't satisfy these sequences. It's that nothing can possibly satisfy these sequences. That's why it's a metaphysical thesis.
Wait. Sorry, say it again.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just belaboring. But for some reason, when these things are physical objects, for some reason, there's an impossibility.
Yes.
There. And
yes, correct.
And there's an impossibility in virtue of some metaphysical law
physical.
that's being violated, or is it like a natural law that's being violated? What's the impossibility?
Physical. It's all physical. That's my whole argument. It's that, again, the universe cannot come to you by physical laws itself. So there must be some metaphysical thing, right? When we talk about physical things that actually exist, three-dimensional space.
You do realize you have to produce, like if you say it's physical, or if what you mean by that is nomological, you do realize that in order to satisfy that someone that doesn't share the view, and especially if they're genuinely interested in oh, okay, well maybe I've just been wrong this whole time. You understand you have to satisfy what that nomological law is, or what the physical.
Well, yeah, I mean,
like I could talk about an iron bar floating on water and explain why it's not physically possible for it to float on water or something, but it doesn't sound like you have the crucial next step, right? Really the only thing that matters, right? The reasoning. There's just never any reasoning.
I did try to motivate my point the whole time, and then I guess our point of contention was I asked you, can you give me an example of something, or not even give me an example, but I just said that you cannot get to the end of something you cannot start, and if I cannot motivate it past that, to me that's rock bottom, right?
I guess my can you can you defend this at all without having to ask me what I think? Because presumably your view doesn't depend on what J Mike thinks, right? That'd be really odd. You never met me and you already held this view. So clearly, I'm not a very important part of that equation of why you think that's true. So it does seem like a weird bait and switch, or this real weird, I mean, it's obviously burden shifting, but it seems real odd. It's bro, you never met me, but you've thought this before you met me. You should be able to just explain that. And is there, I just want to ask, can you defend the view without asking me a single question, or does it rely on asking me a question?
I can defend it, informally now if you want.
I'm not asking for even a formal argument.
I said informally.
Because I'm not trying to be rude, which I was deliberately being rude to you earlier. This time I'm trying really not to be rude. I don't think that you can actually defend the view without relying on asking me things that I think, which I think is a problem, right? I think that's
all I asked you before was specifically, can you give a counterexample of my view, right? Because your view is contrapositive of mine.
Well,
and if you could motivate the contrapositive, that would be a way to
I don't see
disprove
why
it.
I have this. I don't understand why I
establish that like your view is like true, right? If we're incapable of doing so, right? Does that mean your view is true? Like, answer that on
that's literally what I was going to say. I was like, I can't actually satisfy that to you. Now what, your view's true? No, like you still have all of your work left ahead of you.
Yeah,
right?
you still have to prove it, right? We see the same thing in like mathematicians. Like they'll have like this entire, they'll say, hey, this thing is true. And people are like, well, why do we think that like this thing is like derivable from the axioms of mathematics or something? And then the person's like, well, why don't you provide me like a counterexample, right? Or show me a contradiction or something. It's like, brother, you're the one who's making the claim. You're the one who has to substantiate it.
Yeah,
Whether we can or can't provide a counterexample, like let's say,
imagine Darwin gives this theory of natural selection. And like other people, and then like when people are like, yeah, but I don't like really believe that, and they go, yeah, but what's your like? Can you defend natural selection? Someone just what's your alternative to the biodiversity in the world? Like that's a really weird response.
I see the disconnect is.
I just want to point out that like the contrapositive is logically equivalent to the conditional that he's affirming. So obviously we don't even affirm the contrapositive, and asking us to give an example doesn't make any sense.
I've already actually explained to him that I hold his view. I've already explained to him that I hold his view.
But you're arguing the other view. I don't know why you were doing that.
No, you still haven't grasped the look, Amir. He still doesn't understand this concept that I can be in his camp like a finitist.
I get that.
I can still say, hey, your critique on this causal infinitist view is dog shit. It's bad.
I get that.
He doesn't understand the difference.
I understand that.
Okay, then why do you keep saying?
Because you were arguing the other viewpoint, and I thought I was making good motivation for it. Okay, but back to your point.
And it's funny. Before you came up here, I told him, because I used you as an example. I go, look, like for the reasons that I accept this view, it's not because there's a contradiction or something, but like my buddy Amdir has given me, by my own lights, like what I like the kind of simplicity reasons that I give for the view. He's given me thought, and my response wasn't ever to be like, well, what are you like? I tried to actually absorb what he was saying. I was trying to make this point that I don't think he like even absorbs anything you guys are saying. Like he's like thinking about the next thing to say in his head.
I was listening to everything you guys said. And also back to your point about mathematicians.
I don't know that that's true. I feel like by now you would have grasped that you can't just keep saying the things you're saying, right?
Yeah, well, that's where we got to our point of contention, where I just said this is rock bottom, and I cannot motivate this further, right? And back to your point about mathematicians making a point, right? If mathematicians make a claim, right, they need to be able to substantiate it, right? If you're making a claim that's binary, right, one way to prove it is to disprove the contrapositive, but that only works for binary claims, right? That only works for binary claims. Right? If I say, I don't know, there's a unicorn somewhere out there. If I can disprove the contrapositive, right? If I take all possible cases that the unicorn doesn't exist and I disprove them, then the unicorn exists. That's one way of proving it.
When you say binary claim, you just mean like a claim that's like truth apt? Is that the idea?
Yeah, binary claim. Well, that's yes or no, right?
Just making sure.
Yeah. I think you're looking. So again, binary claim is can you have so the binary claim in our position, right, was I said you cannot have an end without a beginning, and you guys said no, it's possible. So it's yes or no. There's no third option, right? So I said if you guys think my position is false, right, can you give a counterexample? Right, and that's not full proof, right? But I think it's very.
Let's just imagine I can't give you a counterexample. How does that establish your view? I don't get it.
I want to go back to.
Well, again, to me, it's rock bottom.
Well, I think the thing in question is like this weird, like, metaphysical, like if things are like sequentially ordered and they have like certain ontology, it's impossible. But if not,
I don't even know if I'm interested in that anymore. Like, if we haven't gotten there by now, are we really going to get there?
No, I mean,
we're not going to get we're not getting anywhere. The same
No,
spot
that's
it
why I
was
said
when I got here.
I see your point of
wanna-
contention, and I said, guys, this is rock bottom for my view. If you think you can start a book or something, you've always been reading a book. I've never seen a human being that's always been reading a book. I don't think that's nomologically possible. If you guys think it is,
Yeah,
then I
because
cannot
all
motivate that
humans
further.
begin to exist.
I want to
dumbass.
hold on. I want to ask a question there. Like, surely if if suppose that we just say this, you can't motive. If I just have a different, base intuition, that I don't see any reason why this sort of book reading is impossible. And you do have the intuition this book reading is impossible, and that's base level. I don't see how you can call someone that has my view irrational. Would you concede at least that like someone that holds my view isn't irrational?
Honestly, no, I'm sorry, I wouldn't, because every single book that I've read, I've started it. Every single sequence that I've seen.
You don't have any epistemic. You don't have like any epistemic advantage over me. All that either of us can do to motivate our view is say that it just seems to us that it's possible or impossible.
Well, yeah, because I have anecdotal evidence that every book I've finished, I've started. Every race that I've ran, I've started. Every sequence, every staircase, every sequence has a beginning that has ended. That's my anecdotal evidence, and I guess I cannot further motivate that. And I guess that's our point of contention. I don't know.
That might be inductive evidence that every book is finite in length, but it's hardly evidence that it's impossible for a book to be infinite in length.
If you think a book can be infinite in length, I cannot. There's nothing for me to tell you there. You think a book can have infinite pages? I've never seen that. I've never seen anything close to that.
Entailed by that.
Yeah, but if there's nothing you'd
be able. Hey, look, let's put it this way: you'd be able to just shut us the fuck up by producing the contradiction entailed.
But if there's nothing to say to me to change my intuition, there's nothing I can say to you to change your intuition. Why should I revise my view? Why am I irrational for not revising my view to your view?
Well, I don't know if you're irrational. To me, I mean, I don't know if I would go as far as to call you irrational, but for my view, there's tons of anecdotal evidence, like I just said, all the sequences. Then I asked you for your counterexample, can you give me an example of a sequence that has an end but no beginning? And you're unable to provide one, right?
Yeah, but I don't think that this sort of inductive, like empirical case is evidence for the modal claim. I agree that it's evidence for the claim that no book that actually exists is infinite. But I already agree with you wholeheartedly about that. I don't think that there's an infinite book out there.
Yeah.
Our contention is about whether or not it's possible there's an infinite book out there. And I don't think the empirical evidence does very much to support that.
Well, again, if you think there's an infinite book out there, right?
I just said I don't think there's an infinite book out there.
You don't think there is?
But that doesn't mean that that I think it's impossible for there to be such an infinite book.
You think there's a high probability?
That there exists one, or that it's possible there's one?
Well, I don't think it's possible that there is one, because we'd be taking up all the
but
space.
you just asked me a question. Do I think there's a high probability? Are you asking me if I think there's a high probability that there exists an infinite book? Or are you asking me if I think there's a high probability that it's an infinite book of that sort is possible?
Do you think there's a high probability that there is an infinite book out there?
No.
Okay. Well, then does that not motivate my claim then?
No, because your claim is
that's your intuition, right?
Your claim is a modal one. It's not like an empirical one.
Yeah, it's
But we're talking about intuition, right?
There's no impossibility, right, from the modality you specified, physical, for there to be a book that has an infinite amount of pages.
Plausibly,
that somebody's always been reading
look at
the book.
it this way: the vast majority of modal claims, well, almost by definition, no, not by definition, but the vast majority of modal claims are not the way that reality is. It's possible I got a giant raise at work last week, but in fact, I didn't get a giant raise at work that week, and I think there's a 0% chance that I got a huge raise at work last week. But clearly it's possible. And it's like this for the vast majority of modal claims. So I don't think pointing out that something isn't that way in reality is strong evidence at all for believing
like imagine I'm just like, oh, I've never seen God.
Yeah, but
99.9% of modal claims are different than the way that reality is.
I've never seen God, so God's not possible.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I guess it's just our point of contention. You think you can start that it's possible. All right. I just said it's not possible. I mean, the time thing, again, like that's kind of different from the, actual things. It's similar in some way, but it's not into others about the book and things like that.
Well, like, what's the wait? Hold on, J. Mike, 1 second. Suppose suppose that I have the following thesis. My thesis is it's impossible that I get a raise at my job in the past week. Saying, well, in fact, in the real world, I've never seen any example where I've gotten a raise at my job last week, doesn't do very much at all to motivate the thesis that it's not possible I get a raise at my job last week. Like, surely there's a possible state of affairs where I did get the raise. So my point is just that looking at the way the world in fact is very little evidence, if it's evidence at all, on the way that the world could be. So if the only way you can motivate that the way the world could be is such that there can't be these sorts of infinite series, is just your intuition, then if I don't share that intuition, what can you say to motivate me to revise my view?
Well, I guess I can't tell you anything because
you're getting, just real quick, just some cleanup. Ruxter, you're getting some feedback when
my bad.
someone talks, but it's like, it just sounds like a fly, like buzzing. So
sorry, that's my bad.
no, it's fine to answer. I don't think I can tell you anything because I've just tried, not in a disrespectful way, but I've tried to motivate my position. I asked, how can you finish something that you haven't started? And I don't use common sense again, but that's just how I see the world. And
but do you understand my criticism of the case? Can you recreate my criticism of the case?
Well, you think that it's possible, right? You think just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's not possible. Is that right?
No, but why am I saying that it's not? Why am I saying that just pointing to the things that you've seen is not a good way to motivate the modal claim? What is my specific criticism here?
I think your criticism was that I haven't, motivated your intuition, right?
No. My criticism is that oftentimes, in fact, the vast majority of times, the ways things are is not a good guide to the way things could be. That's my criticism.
Oh, okay, I see. No, but then again, like my, proof and my evidence and my intuition comes from physical things, the way we observe the universe. And you're just saying, I shouldn't say you're just saying, but you're saying that things could be different. But there are things we do know that aren't different that we can observe and study and replicate.
I'm saying something much stronger. I'm saying that for most of the time, for the vast majority of the time, the way things are is not indicative of the way things could be.
So that was kind of a general statement, I think.
Yeah, so like the way that, like the fact that in reality I didn't get a raise at my job last week shouldn't cause us to believe that I couldn't have got a raise at my job last week. The fact that some theory of physics is true shouldn't cause us to think that some theory of physics couldn't possibly be true. Fact that
again, sorry to cut you off. I disagree with that. Right? What's observed through physics is observed through physics, and we can draw conclusions through that. Yeah, I think if you disagree, we disagree, right?
No, but we're not talking about the way things are. We're talking about the way things could possibly be. Let's keep the physics examples out of it to keep it simpler. Like the fact that I didn't mow my lawn yesterday shouldn't cause me to believe that I couldn't have mowed my lawn yesterday. Surely you
but those are things
that,
in the
right?
past, right?
No, but the point is that the way that things are in the actual world isn't a good guide to what things could possibly be. The way that the possibility space is structured, what possible state of affairs there could have been.
Yes, I mean, sorry, but your examples, you brought up two things that happened already in the past, right? What happened in the past is past. They happened, right? There's no changing that, right?
Even if, in fact, I won't pass my test tomorrow, it's not good evidence for the fact that I couldn't pass my test tomorrow.
Yeah, so you're bringing up things that could or could not be, like things that happen or don't happen, right? What I'm bringing up
happens isn't a good guide to what could possibly happen. So if the argument for it couldn't
depends,
possibly
right?
be... if the argument for it couldn't possibly be the case that X rests on it's not actually the case, or I've never observed it actually being the case that X, then it isn't a good argument. It isn't a good motivation. That's the criticism that I'm giving you.
I see what you're saying, but it depends on what things, you have to be more specific here. It depends on what things we can observe and how things could be and how it couldn't be. For example, if I drop a rock from the top of a building, 1,000 times out of 1,000 times, it's going to behave the same way, right? It's not in your, analogous to your example of, I could pass the test or I couldn't pass the test, right?
The fact that we can take scientific facts. The fact that humans evolved from apes doesn't imply that it's not the case that humans couldn't have evolved at all, or humans could have evolved from something else.
Yeah, no,
You
but
might-
it's
you might have to
two
use an
analogous things.
example that he believes, because I don't think he'll just get hung up on it. Evolution.
No, we don't have to go there. I mean, I see the point. I mean, it's this analogous, I think, Admir, because you're saying about things that could or couldn't happen, right?
He's not giving an analogy. He's like showing why like the principle that you're operating on, or like the kind of reasoning that you're using, isn't good.
Yeah, like the fact that like you don't actually see an infinite book or whatever isn't like you keep doing this move where you're like, oh, that couldn't be the case because I don't actually see it in the world or something, which is not true. And he's given you like 1,000 examples to show what actually happens and what could have happened.
Here's another like really good example. Before Alexander the Great went on his conquest, nobody had observed Alexander the Great going on a conquest. If somebody had said in that time
it's
period,
not possible for him to go on.
Impossible that Alexander the Great goes on his conquest because we've never observed him going on his conquest, that would be bad reasoning.
It would, exactly.
Then again, it's about what we define, what we think is possible, what's not possible, right? I think it's very possible to what somebody did. It's not about what happened before, right? It's about what we can.
The point is
that it's like saying landing on the moon is like impossible because like we've never observed anyone landing on the moon.
Well, first of all, I would never say that something is impossible because it hasn't been done yet. I would never say that.
But that was the point.
Wait. You're doing this thing where like you're saying something's impossible, and then you're asking for like counter examples in like reality or something like that. You're doing something in the spirit. Like you're saying, I would never do that, but you're doing something.
No,
in that
but
spirit.
that is doing that. Like that is literally the equivalent of going in 1940 going, we haven't gone to the moon. It's not possible. So give me this counter example or something like that. It's like that doesn't deter the fact that it's possible that we could go to the moon.
Give me an example of something.
We have different standards of things that are possible.
It's literally the exact same, dude. It is what's the disanalogy?
The disanalogy is that what I'm bringing up is laws of physics, right? Laws of physics can be predicted. They've been tested over and over and over again. And if you think if you drop a rock from a 10th story, it's going to start floating up, then you'd be wrong, right? You cannot just say like, oh, if I drop a rock from a 10th story, we don't know if it's going to float up. We've never seen it float up, but it could, right?
Yeah, but in the case that you would be giving there, like with gravity, like you would actually identify like some modal space at which it violates, like it's physically impossible, right, for it to like violate F equals ma or something like that, right? But like,
yeah,
you aren't doing that equivalent at all. You're just saying I've never seen these things in the world, and so it's not possible. And Amjad's giving you like several examples of things that would be. When you give that example, it's like, okay, but then do that with what you're saying, because like I could get with you on examples that you give where, yeah, it's not possible for the rock to like suspend in midair and not drop, at like 9.18 meters per second or whatever, right? But that's I actually can understand in that example what's being violated there, like some nomological law. I understand in virtue of what it's not possible. I don't understand in your case at all. You haven't done anything even remotely similar.
Well, again, I think I haven't. Maybe we just have different standards of what we think is possible or not possible.
For like
right?
the beginningless series, like it doesn't seem like you're giving a response that's similar to like these other cases where it's obvious that you can point to like the nomological violations and such.
Well,
right?
in these cases, it's derivable from facts about the object and the physical law. You can derive that the apple doesn't go upwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, no, I see what you're saying, but again, to me, maybe my standards of what's sufficient evidence is different from yours. Okay, and maybe that's where we draw our point of contention.
Yeah, I mean,
cannot-
I'm okay
yeah.
with that. You have a very weak standard.
How's that a weak standard?
Because not even that. It's like a hypocritical.
It's not a
standard.
how's it a hypocritical standard? Where have I contradicted myself?
Well, no. I'm not saying any of this. What I'm saying is that in this beginningless series sense, you're not deriving it from a physical law. You're just saying, look, I've observed these things do this particular thing, and you can't give me an example where you won't. And that's why I gave you all of these examples of why that sort of reasoning is bad reasoning in the Alexander the Great case, in the
no, there's nothing.
Ways at work
There's nothing stopping Alexander the Great from conquering. It's never been done before. There's nothing stopping it, right?
What's
somebody
the
can come to power right now.
Explain to Amdir what point do you think he's making when he gave that
I get his point. I get his point. He's saying that just because things haven't happened before,
and I accept that you
does not mean
I accept that you do understand it, but I want to hear it from you just to make sure.
I thought I just did. I did it like a bunch of times.
I'm not. It's not clear to so far. It's not clear to me that you actually understand the point he's trying to make.
Amdir is bringing up the point that just because things haven't happened before, that does not mean that it is impossible for them to happen. I agree with it. Just like he said in Alexander the Great example, right? Just because nobody before had conquered what Alexander the Great had done, that does not make it impossible. I agree with him, right? The problem is that my standard of evidence, right, is different from yours. I think Alexander the Great can conquer things. If someone came to power today, right, and did what Alexander the Great did, I'd say it's very possible. It's not probable, right? I mean, yeah,
we're not talking about that.
We're
not talking about the probability. We're talking about whether or not it's possible. There's nothing preventing that.
So far, I've agreed with what you just said. But the point I'm making is that when you tell me that we can't have, it would be impossible for there to be a book of this type, the beginningless book, because all books you've observed have behaved in this particular way. All books that exist are in this particular way, and I can't point to you a book that is different from that, is analogous to me telling you in 1800s that it's impossible for Alexander the Great to conquer because in reality he hasn't conquered, he's never conquered before in the actual world, he hasn't conquered, and you can't give me a counterexample of where he has conquered.
No, see, again, our standards of evidence are just completely different. There have been conquerors before Alexander the Great that are not at his magnitude, right? So it's believable that Alexander the Great can do this. But a beginningless book, to me, is just so far-fetched. It's not even, metaphysically, it's not even physically possible, I should say.
If you're saying that it's just so absurd, it's so inconceivable, you're not falling back on the inductive case. You're just agreeing that the inductive case is weak, and you're giving the...
No. The inductive case is pretty strong because we have a lot of evidence of books that have
If the inductive case is strong, why are you abandoning it and giving the intuition pump?
It is strong. Yeah, I gave both. I gave the inductive case. I said all books that we know of have a beginning, right? And then I asked you to give a counterexample.
But in terms of purely the inductive case, you can't give it this analogy between the inductive case and the Alexander the Great inductive case parody that I gave.
Yeah, you can. Because there have been conquerors of Alexander the Great, not at that magnitude. Right? He wasn't the first conqueror. He just did more than everybody else. It's like saying, we've never seen a book of 10 million pages.
Wait, what's the disanalogy, though?
The disanalogy is that we've had conquerors before Alexander the Great that have done things that he's done on lower magnitude, right? There's never been a 10 million page book. I could agree with a 10 million page book. Just put 10 million pages on top of each other.
There have never been a 10 million page book, but there have been books that have done similar things on a different magnitude.
Yes, just like Alexander the Great had people coming before him that did different magnitude.
So you agree that
you have to reestablish the dissymmetry.
No, I said a 10 million page book is fine, just like Alexander the Great is fine, right? I've never seen a book without a start. That to me is not fine.
Right, but you wait, hold on. But you've seen books with pages of like obviously several degrees less magnitude, right?
Yes.
Okay, in a similar fashion with Alexander the Great.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with books being of smaller magnitude. I do have a problem with the book having no start.
Then there isn't a dissymmetry. Then that's what Andrew is saying.
There's a huge asymmetry.
You have to rescue the symmetry.
Okay, let me explain it like this. Alexander the Great is very possible because there have been conquerors of magnitude smaller than him, right? So now Alexander the Great just did what other people did, but on a greater scale.
Books with
no problem with that.
Pages is possible because there have been books with pages before with lesser magnitude. It's the same reasoning.
No, but those books are finite. When you make the jump between finite to infinite,
And
that is a huge problem because that's a completely different like space
all
space
those
of
past
possibility.
conquerors, all those past conquerors have done different things with their conquering. They haven't taken the same borders on their empire.
Yeah, sure. So
It's the same reason. Like,
So there's so really you can't just get from other conquerors before have done similar things to it's possible that Alexander the Great does it, because
yeah, you can.
no past conqueror has done something that's exactly like what Alexander the Great has done.
Not exactly like exact things that he's done, but similar things, yeah. Conceivable things, yeah.
Yeah, but now if the symmetry breaker is supposed to be that Alexander the Great conquering is conceivable, whereas beginningless book is inconceivable, then what we're doing is we're falling back on just the intuition pump rather than the inductive case.
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, in my case, again, what's conceivable is based on physics.
If I was gay, I would just totally suck your schlong right now.
That's right.
But the point is that nothing you're saying,
I see your point.
nothing we're saying about what kind of books can exist or what kinds of things Alexander the Great can do can be derived, or at least none of us here on this panel can derive them from laws of physics. The types of cases we're giving.
Everything Alexander the Great did is abiding by the laws of physics.
No. Abiding by the laws of physics and are derivable from the laws of physics are different things. To say that something is so the types of case you're giving for the beginningless book being impossible is that it
wouldn't make any sense.
You haven't. It's an inductive case. It's that you haven't seen any.
It's not
book
only that I
that's
haven't seen it,
beginningless.
right? It's not that I haven't seen it, right? It's that it just wouldn't even be conceivable, right? I can conceive of a 10 million page book.
But then it's just the intuitive case. It's not this inductive case, right? Surely, if the reason is just that kind of book is inconceivable, then you would agree that your case is a case of it intuitively doesn't make sense, right?
Conceivability seems like a private matter.
Well, yeah. I mean, but it's based on laws of physics.
Well, it's not based on laws of physics because you can't derive that type of book couldn't exist from a law of physics. You can't give me a proof that starts at a law of physics and is logically valid and concludes at this types of book can't exist. You're just saying that it's inconceivable.
Can you explain to me, or explain to me what a beginningless book would look like? What would that be? Can you honestly just tell me that?
Yeah,
you honestly think a beginningless book can exist?
It would be a book that has a final page and that doesn't have a first page.
That's literally what I was gonna say.
Then that would be the first page, right?
It's a book that doesn't begin and has an ending page.
Well, then the ending page would be a beginning page, right?
No.
Well, see, there's a contradiction there.
Wait, hold on. What?
Okay, that was the dumbest thing you've said all night.
No,
Wait, what?
Because if it has no beginning page but has an end page, right? Then that's the only page, right?
No, I think that maybe there's no more progress that's even possible.
Not after that.
Wait, do you think that hold on, are you under the impression that beginningless series are the same as endless series or something?
What? No. Wait, beginningless series and endless series?
Do you think those are the same?
In some contexts, yeah.
Because
no, we're gonna go back to what we had before.
Because he told you that there's a final page but no first page, and then you asked him that would be the first page.
Yeah, a book with a final page but no first page. I can't even conceive about it. That's the whole point, right?
The final page would be the first page.
Because that would be the only page, right?
Nick, how does that follow? How does that follow from anything that was said before when defining that?
Because honestly,
dude,
I can't even conceive of what you just said.
I think
you have an idea there.
You can't conceive of that type of book doesn't mean that it follows from the definition of that type of book that there's only one page. That's completely ludicrous.
Well, that would be how I would define a book with an ending page and no begin. That's the closest I can come up with from what you just said.
But if that's all you can conceive, that doesn't follow that that's entailed by the definition or parameter of such a book.
And you know what's crazy? Like by parallel reasoning, that like this like temporal infinite regress, right? If we're using the same reasoning here, you would just be saying that like the current moment is like the only moment.
No, not at all.
That's like
I don't know where you get that from.
reasoning. You're saying like the last page would be like the first page because it's the only one, right? And so,
Well, I was trying to
infinite
conceive,
regress
trying to give
true.
a charitable
If
interpretation of what he was
infinite
saying.
regress is true, the finite moment being now would be the only moment.
No, I was trying to give a
That's
charitable
why- that's why
interpretation
there
of a
can't
book
be
without
an
a
infinite
with an
past
end and no
book.
beginning.
You said what? You said what?
I said that's
No,
why
no.
there can't be an infinite past.
No, look, if you guys think you can wait an infinite amount of time, then that's our point of contention. I just don't think you can do that.
Yeah, but no, I'm not agreeing to just say, here's our point of contention, there's nowhere further we can go. I was taking
I
it
don't
a
think there
step
is.
further, and I was giving a critique of your case. Okay, but you've shifted between two cases. The two cases are, it's impossible because it's inconceivable, and it's impossible because there's an inductive case against it, where in every
Because both, yeah.
every book I've seen is finite, every book that exists is finite, and you can't give me a counterexample.
Well, because you guys asked me to vote my claim because I gave it at the like rock bottom form of proof, and you guys didn't accept it. So I tried to give you guys analogies, and you still didn't accept it. And then you just said, "Oh, it's intuition. We don't get it." And then there's point of contention there.
I've given you two responses to these two types of reasoning. So for the inductive case, I give you a rejoinder, which is that this type of inductive case is bad because if you apply a similar inductive case in other situations, it leads to incorrect result. And then I give you a rejoinder to the intuitive case, which is if everything rests upon the intuitive case, then there's nothing you can appeal to say that my view is irrational or to move somebody that thinks the way that I do to your point of view. And I want to know which of these two lines of reasoning you are still defending, and if either of them you're still defending, I want to hear your rejoinder to what I've given you.
My intuition is based on, again, what I observe physics as, right? And how I observe time as. And that's my intuition, and it's based on things that we can actually observe.
So
right?
It sounds like
and things that have been proven.
Your intuition rests on an inductive case. You intuitively believe this because there's an inductive case supporting it. But I've given you a rejoinder to that inductive case, and I haven't heard a reply.
No, it wasn't a good one.
You didn't.
It's just different standards of proof.
You didn't give something good.
I told you it's different standards of what we accept as evidence, right?
No, but you didn't point to the dissymmetry between the cases that I gave and the inductive case that you're giving. And
I don't know how to explain this anymore because they just break the laws. I don't want to say nomological laws, but they just break the symmetry of how things can be. I don't know how else to say it.
The reason, the asymmetry you gave is that it's inconceivable to you. But if the fact that it's inconceivable
because
to
it's
you,
inconceivable, not only because we haven't seen it, because it's not conceivable.
Hold on. If the fact that it's inconceivable to you rests upon this inductive case, but
It's
the
not only
inductive case
case.
in turn, but if the inductive case in turn rests upon the fact that it's inconceivable to you, then all you're employing to support your position is a circular reasoning.
No, it's not only about what's inconceivable. It's why it's inconceivable, right? You can't even show me a book with no start that has an end. You cannot even show that to me, right? Like, do you at least see our point of contention, or do you want to keep saying the same thing? I'm willing to say, okay, let's have our point of contention. Let's end it, right? I've been saying this for the past like 20 minutes now.
I'm happy to say that's our point of contention. Let's end it. But I want you to concede that there's nothing you can appeal to say that someone that holds my view is irrational.
Well, yeah, I can motivate it from my standpoint, and I think, yeah, what you're saying is irrational. I think it is irrational, and you can say that I'm irrational, whatever, but that's my opinion. That's yours.
I don't say that you're irrational. I don't think that just saying that you believe that this thing's impossible because it's inconceivable to you is irrational. All I want is for you to argue in a convincing way that the way that I think about this issue is irrational without like arguing circularly or employing bad inductive reasoning.
because I don't even know what I'm trying to think about how I can. I don't even know what a book or any kind of sequence that's concrete with infinite amount of things. What would that even look like?
Yeah,
I grant that you don't know what it would look like, but I do know what it would look like. So how do you
You do know
move
what it would
me?
look like?
Yeah.
Okay, well then that's our point of contention. Because
Yes, but how? But how? What are you going to appeal to say that I'm irrational?
Because who can write a book that's infinite amount? It would take an infinite amount of time to write it and make an infinite amount of pages.
No,
I'm irrational because who can write the book? Are we serious right now?
That's like tangential. Yeah. Like the idea is to conceptualize the book, not to like. Oh my god!
It has to be an actual thing, right? Because that's again we're talking about the distinction between concrete things and abstract things.
Let's say it's, for all intents and purposes, it like popped into existence. Like, who cares about where it came from, right?
Well, I do, because I think
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to the fact that like this thing could exist in the first place. So like what you need to do is find like some sort of like inconsistency or some kind of like violating of some law of just the mere existence of the thing in question.
I'm really even happy with I'm even happy with the inductive case if at least it's not an erroneous one.
Okay, again, I could just ask you. Yeah, I could just ask you. How long would it take to make an infinite amount of pages? Infinite amount of time. I can't conceive of that. And I'm sorry, respectfully, I think you're irrational.
I grant that you can't conceive of that. What do you say to move somebody who can conceive of that?
I don't know. I tried for the past 2 hours. I guess I can't.
Wait, so is it just like, do we just merely have differences of like conceivability, and that's like...
That's what I've been saying for the past 20 minutes. And he's been asking me, what can I say to motivate his view? And I've been trying to. I said, what would that even look like? How long would it take to make that?
There's also the further issue of like, why do you think that because you can't conceive of it, therefore it's impossible?
Yeah, because if you can't conceive of something, I mean, yeah, I think that's reason enough to believe that it's not possible. I can conceive of a 1,000,000-page book, right?
Yeah, but
it would
why?
Just be a page with 10 million pages. Book with 10 million pages.
But like, why is it that if you can't conceive of it, that's reason to think that it's impossible?
Because it's backed. The reason why I think it's not conceivable is backed by things that we've seen and by laws of physics, right? That's why.
Yeah, but I explained why that kind of inductive case is bad, and you didn't give any.
No, because my intuition is backed by again laws of physics and things that we observe that are non-logically possible. And if you think differently, what is non-logically possible, then let's just agree to disagree.
No, we don't. I don't think that's the disagreement.
That is the disagreement, because I think it's not non-logically possible. You do.
No, the disagreement isn't on what the laws of physics are. Right now, the disagreement is on whether or not this is an appropriate inductive case to make. And I didn't hear a reply. Yes, it is, because it's based on the laws of physics again. And I didn't hear a reply to my rejoinder, which is that the way that things actually are and the way that things we've observed them is a very bad guide to how things could possibly be.
Well, it depends on what is backing that, right? Like I said,
in general. I'm saying in general.
I'm going to give you an example, right?
Hold on.
I've never seen a 10 million page book.
1 second. If it depends, then the principle is bad, because there's cases in which you don't think the principle upholds. That's the whole point.
I'm like charitably interpreting this as just a general principle and not like a universal generalization. But I think even the general principle is wrong. In fact, a general principle that goes in the opposite way is probably true. Most things that haven't existed in the actual world are possible. I would affirm that principle.
Well, again, it depends on what modality it is, right?
Even on the physical modality, even on the nomological modality.
It depends on what standard of evidence you're taking about things that can exist and what can't exist, right? Again, dude, here, I'll just say this, right? I can conceive of if you told me there's a 10 million page book out there, I've never seen it, but if you told me there is one, I would believe you, because I can conceive of that. It's just 10 million pages on top of each other. It'd be a huge book and I can conceive of it, right? I have no problem with that.
And when
right?
Do you recognize that you're shifting between two lines of argumentation, and one line of argumentation is the line that I would believe you because I can conceive of it, and the other line is I would believe you because every book I've observed is like this, and
I've never, again, this is the problem with your logic now, because I'm saying I've never observed a book with 10 million pages, but I can conceive of it. So it's not only about what I've observed, it's about what I observed and why it is the way that I observed.
What did I just ask you?
I don't know. What did you ask me? Say it again.
Do you recognize that we're shifting between two lines of argumentation? One line of argumentation is that I can't, it's not possible because I can't conceive of it. And the other line of argumentation is it's not possible because I've never seen a book like this that satisfies this description, and you can't give me a counterexample.
Yeah, but the reason is because I cannot conceive of it, and why? What's backing that? Right? It's not about what I can observe and what I can't observe. It's about what I can conceive and can't conceive, and why I cannot conceive those things.
But there's a problem, which is that these two lines of argumentation are each dependent on the other one in the dialectic. So
no, they're not.
Whenever I say line of argumentation 1 is bad because of X, Y, and Z, you say line of argumentation 1 is justified by line of argumentation 2. And whenever I question line of argumentation 2, you say, well, line argumentation 2 is justified by line of argumentation 1. And so I can't attack either of these two lines of argumentation because they're circularly justifying one another.
No, they're not circularly justifying. I mean, no, they kind of are, because they kind of are actually, because they are like the same thing, because one is backed by the other, right?
Right. So
it's really bad.
No, because they're the same point of argument.
Line 2, and line 2 is justifying line 1. But the point is that then it's impossible to attack the argument because the argument rests upon circular reasoning.
It's not circular reasoning.
If they're both backing each other, brother, that's circular.
No, that's not circular. They're the same. They're the same thing. I don't know if that's circular.
If line of reasoning 1 is supported by line of reasoning 2, and 2 is supported by 1, you don't think that's
no, that is circular, but that's not what's going on here.
Yeah, but Amder just asked you that, and you said, yeah, that's what's going on.
No, I think I said yes to something else. If one thing is supported on the other, and the other thing is supported by the original thing, yes, that's circular.
So yeah, the reason why it's inconceivable is because you haven't seen any kind of books like this. You can't point to a counterexample of a book that isn't like this.
No, that wasn't what I said. That wasn't my argument, or I should say.
Really?
The argument was you cannot conceive of this because of the laws of physics, right? And that's why you cannot conceive of it. And that's my basis of proof. That's my standard of proof.
We've already addressed, this is something different than what you've been saying, to be clear, but we've already addressed this line also. The response to this line is, no, you can't derive that from a law of physics that books of this sort can exist. I mean, I challenge you to derive that from a law of physics.
Yeah, because it would take an infinite amount of time to write an infinite amount of pages, and you cannot get through an infinite amount of time.
Let's start with what law of physics are you starting with in the derivation?
The law of time, how time works.
Again,
we're just going to keep going back and over and over again.
This was
can you state
earlier.
It's not okay. Before somebody comes in and attacks you, there's no law of time. It's how time fucking works. There's no.
Can you just? I just want you to state the law. I just want you to state the law. That's it.
I'm not sure there's a formal law. It's how time works. Right?
So if there's not a formal law, then you're not deriving this from a law of physics.
Again, it's how time works. There's no law of time. There's no law for 60 seconds a minute. You want a law for that? You want a law for everything? And if you can't, there's not a published law. You're going to attack me on this?
Do you think you sound like reasonable right now?
Yes, because you're asking for a formal law about something that's commonsensical, I think.
Really?
Yes.
Look, if we're resting on common sense, then we're not deriving it from you agree with this, we're not deriving it from a formal law, then either it falls into one of the two lines of reasoning I already highlighted, the inductive case or it's inconceivable or it's common sense or it's intuitive case.
Yeah, because there's no law for their 60 seconds to be a minute. Right.
But if we agree that one of these two lines of reasoning is being used, and as we've shown earlier, each of these lines of reasoning depends upon the other, then it's circular reasoning.
If one depends on the other, that's fine. If one depends on the other, and that depends on the first thing,
each depend on the other.
Yeah, if they each depend on each other, then yes, that's circular reasoning. But that's not what happens.
Yeah, and that's what's going on.
No, it's not what's going on.
Because whenever I ask you, what's the symmetry breaker between the case against the infinite book and Alexander the Great, you point to, well, it's conceivable that someone would conquer in that way, but it's inconceivable that a book would exist in this way. And if I ask you, how would you move someone to think that it's inconceivable that a book would exist in this way? How do you justify that that to them, you say, because I haven't seen, you apply back,
No, I didn't say I haven't seen it. Well, yeah, I haven't seen it, but that was my argument.
Yeah, you appeal back to the inductive case and say it's because I can't think of any book that way. I don't know
it's
any
not because I can't think of
counterexample
anything book that way. It's
way.
because of all the laws of physics that I've seen and the way time works and everything. For that, because of all those things, I cannot conceive of that. So it's not just I haven't seen it before. It's because of all the things that I can observe. I cannot conceive of this. That's why.
Yeah, but that's you're appealing back to an induction when you say that.
Yeah, but the induction is backed by facts, right? It's not just I can't see
the
it.
the induction is backed by your intuition. The reason why you think the induction is appropriate is because of your intuition.
Yeah. Well, no, my intuition is backed by induction, yeah.
And the induction is backed by your intuition.
Partially, yeah.
That's circular.
No, it's not circular.
It's
not circular in the way that you're saying.
I'm happy to just leave it there if you are.
I mean, I was happy to leave it there fucking 3 hours ago.
All right.
It's not. I see what you're saying, but it's not circular in the way that you think.
Around the world, around the world, around the world.
Okay, there's weak intuition and there's intuition backed by facts, right? My intuition is backed by facts, and that's it. All right. So you can't just be like, oh, there's weak intuition that's backed by facts, and facts where the facts come from other.
Yeah,
your
but
intuition. That's not
your belief in the quote unquote facts is backed by your intuition.
Yeah, and that intuition comes from facts. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's not weak. No, you're saying it goes weak intuition to facts to strong intuition, right?
You got it.
It's like a donut. It's just so sweet.
No, it goes. I observe that's weak intuition. Then it goes to facts, and then facts become strong intuition, right? So it's not a circular. It's just backing things up with strong evidence. That's all it is.
You got it.
This is so stupid, guys. Honestly, can you just agree to disagree? I asked you to agree to disagree like 20 minutes ago, and this guy just everybody just wants to be right. Honestly.
No, it's not that. It's like I'm not trying to posture or anything, but like I'm like very well read on this topic. It's frustrating to like talk to someone else who isn't, and is like not trying to like.
You can ask anybody that knows me on this app. I'm rarely as patient as I was here.
I can attest to that 100%. Yeah.
I think we can infer from the actual facts the modal claim that's impossible to make progress. And the live goes.
Squeeps.
It was fun.